Welcome everybody to the World Ninja League Premier Series Finals. My name is Mary Layton. I'm the commentator ninja, and I am joined by Travis Rosen, and we are here to commentate on the Mature Kids Males event. Now, we are at Ferox Athletics, and these are our course designers for today, Ramses Valdez and Zach Eichenstein. You can see the power from Ramses. You see Zach holding a cane. The tech and the power have certainly come together to create a significant challenge for our athletes here today. Now, taking a look at this athlete, who are these athletes and why are they here? These athletes are the best of the best from all over the world. The Premier Series started out with the top 25% of athletes from the World Ninja League Season 8 standings, as well as some other leagues that we are affiliated with around the globe. Those top 25% of athletes competed in qualifiers, and we took the top 4 from those qualifiers, and now they are here today to compete. This could not be a more stacked field. I'm pretty sure I'm going to say that every single division, but this is an intense field of athletes competing for cash prizes, the bragging rights of being the first ever Premier Series champion in their division. Not only that, but sponsorships are on the table for a lot of these athletes. We'll have some athletes that are sponsored here today. And here's how they're going to compete. They're going to go through the placement course. The placement course has a traditional flow format where if you fall, your run is over. That time, whatever time you have, it's going to be a shorter time limit. That placement's going to determine where you run for the challenge course. Retries are allowed on the challenge course, which is going to be a longer course. And we have seen play out here today an ultimately much more challenging course. They are able to use retries. If they use one retry, they have to get that obstacle or else their run is done. And that's going to be what determines our top spots for our athletes. Now, we have seen that the placement course in some cases determines who takes a top spot, but not always. Travis, what are your thoughts about how this is going to play out for the Mature Kids Male Division?
Well, like you said, Mary, it is a stacked field today for these mature males. Not only stacked, but there's so many talented athletes today. So they are going to have their work cut out for them, but it is going to be an exciting day. Ferox, they're known for putting together technical courses, and that is definitely what we've seen so far today. Very technical, fast courses where you have to be very precise, and if you're not, you are not going to clear that obstacle. So there's a lot of big names in this Mature Kids Male division, and I know that they are going to deliver some tremendous performances today, and I am excited to see this go down.
Absolutely. And now let's get into who some of these athletes are that we can watch out for. So the first athlete that we are going to talk about is going to be Aiden Collins. Aiden Collins came into our league here and took first place at the Premier Series in Austin. And just check out this move. The most insane save. You can see his coach, Jonathan Baines, in the background. This is also your 2023 second place in the World Championships. Just an absolutely dominant athlete. And following close behind him as being a contender, we have Easton Kolek. Now, taking a look at Easton's resume here, he is just a really strong athlete, and he is coming to us from the Ferox competition. He's taken first place here. And this was a pretty challenging comp. A lot of technical moves that Easton had to execute, so he's definitely one to watch. Next up is going to be John Bachmeyer. John Bachmeyer is an athlete that we are going to see pretty early on in the run order. And he is coming to us from Motive, taking first place at Motive Movement. First place in the Mature Kids Power Rankings this past season. And moving on to that, Gavin Shields. Anybody watching from the New England region, very familiar with Gavin. He is absolutely just a dominant ninja force. This kid trains all the time, a Vitality Obstacle Fitness athlete. Our first look at the Vitality contingent here in the Premier Series today, they have some very strong representation, coached by, of course, Coach of the Year in the, I believe, Season 7, Jordan Thurston. And now an athlete I'm a little familiar with. This is Simon Gelman. Simon Gelman trains at Ultimate Obstacles. Hey, I designed that obstacle, actually. And he is just so incredibly fast. Now, one thing that you'll notice about a lot of our our mature kids males, they've aged up to the preteen division this year. And so the moves that they are executing is just a level above what a lot of the mature kids are actually facing in the regular season, and today is absolutely no exception. So I'm honestly wondering if that technical piece is going to come into as much of a play as it has for some of the other divisions. Mature kids, that's the division where they're just always better than you think they are, and so we may actually see a little bit more similarities between the placement course results and the challenge results as well. But let's kick things off. We're going to waste zero time getting into this competition. And starting us off, we just talked about him, John Bachmeyer. First place at Motive. You had to move quickly in order to do that. And we're going to get to see John move quickly through this placement course.
And what I want to see, Mary, from these mature males is just a level of aggressiveness. You know, no wasted moves, quick, powerful moves. Because these courses, you have to go quick if you want to finish it, because there is not a very big time limit, and if you have pretty much any wasted time, you're not going to clear the course. So obviously they want to have a good placement here in this placement round because it gives you a better run order for the challenge round. That always is advantageous to a ninja. So John is crushing it so far, straight out of the gate.
Yep, throwing those last couple of laches, linking to the dismount, and that is setting the tone if I have ever seen it. John getting a full clear before we've basically even started. What a way to kick it off. And, you know, I do think that getting that good placement for the challenge course, it's going to make more of a difference today in this division than any of the other divisions we've seen, purely based off of the fact that these athletes do have a really great technical ability. And so seeing what people have done before you, I think that's going to be more critical this time around. But moving on to one of our sponsored athletes, this is Itamar Efrat, and he is sponsored by the Ninja Company 2N. Now, he is one of our Israeli athletes who have come here to compete. He trains at the home gym of Flash. Now, we mentioned the Israeli Ninja League Maccabia, and he took first place in that. First place in 2022 and second in 2023. So really just a very strong competitor. His twin brother, fun fact, is going to be competing exactly after him. So it'll be fun to see if they have similar results in their competitions.
Yeah, that'll be a fun added element here. You got a little bit of, well, it's either sibling rivalry or sibling support. Hopefully it's maybe a little bit of both, but excited to see what these guys can do.
Yeah, it's not too often that we have twins competing. One set of twins I can think of from the New England region are the Nix twins. So really exciting to see some, oh wow, and I'm loving what I'm seeing from Itamar here. He is moving very aggressively, a little bit of one of the shorter mature kids athletes, but not struggling at all with that reach.
Now I will say he was really close on that landing.
Oh no.
Sometimes,
just needed to.
Yeah, I was gonna say sometimes when you're so focused on going quick, you might skip a little bit of necessary technique here and there, and that you just didn't hit that mini tramp quite right, and I couldn't make that grab. That was too bad. He was going really quick.
Well, great effort out of Idamar, and now we have, I will take a pause to look at the name here. I have two different names. Okay, so I have Uriah Ephrat, so we may need to correct that name on there. Sorry about that, guys. We'll get that fixed. But Uriah is moving through really quickly, showing a lot of the same aggression we saw from his twin right before. Now, Uriah is also sponsored by 2N, the Ninja Company. So really exciting that he's able to come out here today, almost move for move with his brother here. Did get that grab on the trapeze bar a little bit quicker. Oh, and was really aggressive getting to his dismount, but he just was a little bit short.
Yeah, I know he's bummed on that. When he grabbed the trapeze bar, he kind of started kicking his feet forward a little too soon. He needed to be able to wait on that aspect of his kick and dismount until the trapeze bar got him closer to the landing mat. And unfortunately, it just launched him short. But again, this is a placement round. The good thing is their day is not done. It's just this determines how they run the challenge course, in what order. So, they're going to come back. They're going to get another try. So that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, definitely the pep talk that these athletes need going into the challenge course. All right, so now we are moving on to Omer German. Now, Omer German is coming to us from Israel as well. Now, he has placed 3rd place in the Maccabia Games here, the Ninja League, Ninja Competition Series out in Israel. So, high-level athlete, he's competing against, reading the stats and watching those stats displayed before us here. Competing against the Ephrat twins, and the flow right now is just, he's got 35 seconds. This is what we saw John Bachmeyer execute just a few minutes ago. Had 30 seconds when he got to this point. A little bit of a misgrab. A little bit more hesitation now that he did have that first miss, but still attacking aggressively. He's only got less than 10 seconds, but if he links these moves, I think he's got it. And we are off to our second buzzer of the day, 56 seconds for Omer. Wow, what a strong showing from our athletes from Israel today. This could be an international battle. That was a really great run.
Yeah, Omer did really, really well. And on that last series of obstacles, it can be a big time killer if you don't go through that efficiently. And it looked like he did get a little hung up, but he kept dialed in and focused, and he pulled out that course clear. That's phenomenal.
And that time is looking really good too. Only a second behind John for that clear. So now up next we have Sebastian Robodin, another athlete I'm pretty familiar with, trains out of Ninja Mania. Very fast athlete. Now I think that Sebastian is one of the only athletes here who has not aged up to preteens. I'd have to double check that. But certainly an advantage to be competing in the higher level age division leading into these competitions. Get a little bit more advanced look at the technique. You're really pushing your pace to compete with those older kids. And Sebastian, or Sebi as he often goes by, definitely attacking this, but only about 20 seconds left going into this Lachey lane.
Yeah, he's really going to have to move quickly and efficiently here, Mary, if he wants to hit that buzzer. He can do it if he does link some of these Lacheys, but he's going to have to go super fast right here.
Oh, here it is. Less than a second. Oh man, I don't know. Did he get it? Oh, wow. Talk about a buzzer beater. 59.41. Just sneaking in there for the clear. Great work out of Sebastian.
Yeah, that was a great last effort. Just goes to show you cannot give up, because I honestly thought he was timing out, but he kept going for it, and he did just make it by a fraction of a second.
Yeah, and now we're going to see our next mature kids athlete, Anthony DeSimone. Now, Anthony is for sure an athlete that has not aged up to the preteen division. So he is one of the younger athletes here today, but he's used to this position. He started competing in the mature kids division this year. It was his first season. And he said, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and take this as like a training year. He had a great mental attitude about it. Trains out of Jimja Maynard. And he knows that every course is a speed course. And I think that's what we're seeing here today. Oh, nice work. He's just hitting all of those moves.
What I love watching, so you know, this oh, he just fell short. Anthony was doing so good. What I was starting to say is that he doesn't have quite the height advantage of some of the competitors we've seen, but it didn't deter him. He was continuing to just push it so hard, and he was so aggressive. Unfortunately, he just came up a little short on that landing.
Yeah, I was a little worried about him for that reach to the trapeze bar, but he had no problem with that. Like you said, he was really aggressive. So I think we'll see some good things out of him in the challenge course. Now, time for us to take a look at Uri Shemtov, another Israeli athlete. We saw some great things out of his teammates. And so we're hopefully going to see some exciting things from him today. Uri has been training since he was about 5 years old. And so he's got some serious experience behind him. Says here in his bio, one of the best ninjas in Israel for his age. I think we're definitely seeing that here today.
You know, one thing that I like watching right there from Uri is that even though this is a speed course and we're wanting to go fast, he slowed down for those dominoes. And if you're not comfortable with something, it's wise to just take a slight pause. If you have to slow down a little bit, it's okay. And he did that. That was a smart move.
Wow, and another clear for the mature kids male. I think this is just telling us exactly what we can expect from this division. I think one thing that's really impressing me is, you know, in our previous age divisions, if you had 20 seconds or less at the start of that Lachey lane, there wasn't much hope for you to complete it. But these mature kids males are just hitting every link, every move, and they're getting those buzzers. I already 4 clears, and we are not even halfway through the run order. Man, this is shaping up to be quite the competition.
Yeah, you said it. It's really going to come down to seconds and even tenths of seconds, even for those clearing the course, you know, to come up with the run order for the challenge course. So this is pretty exciting.
All right, a very strong Israeli contingent in this division. This is Almog Grasse, and he is coming to us from the Ninja Academy. Now, he also placed 3rd place in the Israeli Ninja League. And so these are definitely the best of your mature male athletes from Israel, and they are showing up. We just saw his teammate Omer have a phenomenal run, and it looks like Almog is looking to repeat it. These are some really good aggressive moves. Now his coach Gil Morantz actually, I believe, took 4th place here, and that dismount off of the trapeze bar is proving to be a little bit difficult for some of our shorter athletes here. I think they might maybe be releasing just a little bit too early.
Yeah, there's a couple different techniques you can use for that. One is a kind of a delayed leg kick approach, where you kind of try to get this big swing, but you kind of wait a little later before you kick your legs forward and then launch yourself out. The other is what some of these kids are doing, where they kind of get their legs pulled up soon and then shoot out forward. The thing is, they need to hold it a little longer, which does take a lot of ab strength. So it's just a little too tricky.
I believe the technical term for that is yeeting yourself towards the dismount. Okay. So hopefully Aiden Wielder won't have to do that. Aiden Wielder, and by technical term, I mean not the technical term at all, but Aiden is coming to us from Modus. He got 3rd place at that competition. Struggling a little bit here on the slider. We did see a couple of the smaller athletes struggle with that, but Aiden able to do it and yeeted himself just enough to that dismount. Very quick footwork. I don't know if 15 seconds is enough to get through this lane, even with perfect execution. If we can build it, 3, 2, 1. Great links through that. Great to see those links, just not quite enough time to get to the dismount.
Yeah, Aiden did really well. Unfortunately, taking those couple extra tries on that slider, I think that's really what did him in. And we've been talking about this all day, Mary, but extra swings, it's really been a killer, whether it's on a time course or speed course like this, because it kills your time, or on a challenge course, because then it takes away extra energy that you need later on. So as many extra swings and whatnot that can be cut out, that's going to only help you do better.
All right, our next athlete is coming to us from the UK. He took 1st place at True Function. This is Yotam Purat. Now he is 5th in the Obstacle Israel League, so looks like he's a multinational competitor here. Started doing ninja at the age of 7. Started competing at the age of 8. Has had multiple podium spots throughout his ninja career. My gosh, what just a fast field that we have. We are not seeing a lot of hesitation for any of these athletes here. Ooh. That was not quite the yeet that we needed there from Yotam, unfortunately.
Yeah, Mary, we saw this earlier in some of the age groups this morning, where if you don't make that dismount on the very first swing, you're unfortunately not going to make it. You just wind up losing too much swing and just going to be kind of dead in the water, unfortunately. So it's a really kind of, you got to go, and if you don't, you're going to be done.
Yeah, that is a major bummer there. But no time to think about these major bummers here. We got to move on to our next athlete, and that is going to be Aiden Collins. Now, we talked about Aiden at the start of this. He was our #1 spot at the Austin Ninjas Premier Series qualifier, and this young man earned that spot by having some great saves on a technical move and really just executing, right? So you see Coach Jonathan Bainge off to the side, True Momentum being his home gym, and the commitment that the athletes coming out of True Momentum has is, I mean, on display right here. I've barely finished giving this guy his intro. He's already through to the second obstacle. And that's not just because I give long intros. He is that fast.
Yeah, and
great.
One thing I wanted to highlight when you're talking about great saves, and I saw that video of his, even that right there, a one-arm grab to that ring. The reason why these ninjas can have great saves is because they're prepared for it. They've done the work. They've got the strength. And I mean, he's really doing such tremendous work right there. Such grip strength, and no problem.
Yeah, I also love the reaches that this kid used. His wingspan. Now, he's 4'8", so he's pretty tall for a mature kid, but he is absolutely using that wingspan to his complete advantage. The just watching these moves, using those gibbons to get through. Gibbons, for those who are not aware, kind of a more advanced monkey bar technique. Just a phenomenal performance.
Yeah, it really was. And even just to touch on what I was saying even more, the reason he could do those gibbons is because he's got that grip strength. He's got the calluses from all the training that he's been doing. You can't just pull something like that together in the middle of a comp. That comes from a lot of training. So well done.
All right, moving on to Roy Oved, another athlete coming to us from Israel. And we are so excited just to see the really strong showing that these athletes have had. So Roy is going to be representing Ninja Academy Israel. 3rd place in his age category for the year of 2022 to 2023, and 1st place the first year he began some training. And the links through these movements kind of becoming pretty standard. You know, you're not really seeing too many missed moves here. And it looks like Roy might be struggling with the reach. Gotta keep those feet up. Roy is a taller athlete. Oh, man. I don't know if he can save it at this point. And I think he's going to be done. That's unfortunate. He was kind of going through his run with his coach there.
What I like seeing is the level of aggressiveness that some of these ninjas bring to the course, but sometimes it can backfire a little bit. And I think we just saw that there. I think he needed to maybe try to get a little more of a swing instead of rushing into that slider, and that wound up causing him to try several times, and even that probably got him a little tired and might have caused that error that he wound up having. But he'll come back. He'll come back on the challenge course.
Yes, he will. All right, so here we go. Simon Gelman, an athlete coming to us from Ultimate Obstacles. He took 1st place at Modus, had a great run there. And one thing about Simon is that he likes to execute quickly. You'll see him throwing whatever big moves there are to throw. That's what he's doing. And so far, this is going really well for him. Actually, at Modus, I'll talk about that for a bit. He didn't have a great speed run at Modus, got hung up on some yo-yos, and ended up coming back and taking 1st place even with early placement.
Yeah, right now Simon is making quick work of this course. And little point of note, his coach is Gil Morantz. He's the last man standing for Ninja Warrior Israel, and he just crushed that course.
Yes, Simon absolutely crushed the course. Minor correction, Simon does train at Ultimate Obstacles, which is not there. I think we got our facts here mixed up. Our last athlete was coached by Gil Morantz.
Oh, that's my bad.
Last man standing. Yeah, I'm Simon's coach, so I haven't been last man standing on anything, but but Coach Keenan from UO is out there with him today, and Simon coming in. These times are just getting faster and faster. 43 seconds. Just under a second faster than Aiden Collins. I'm writing down notes for the replays that I want to see later, and I just keep writing down the names because these runs just keep getting better and better and better. All right. Now, here is another Ultimate Obstacles athlete. This is Hunter Chance Jibo. Hunter qualified at Ferox, so he has some competition experience competing here. Hunter is probably the youngest WNL certified coach because he's just wants to be there for his friends during the season. Worked really hard getting that certification, and he works really hard in the gym. This kid trains so much, no. And we saw that happen with one of our earlier athletes as well. One of the Efrat twins just missing that hop up to the bar. So that's going to place,
Yeah, we can see that happen sometimes when, especially you're going fast, you're focused on what's next. Sometimes you forget about what's right in front of you. And I think getting a good bounce off that trampoline probably was a little bit, it was focusing on what was next after that instead of getting a good bounce first, and that was unfortunate.
Yeah, and it's not going to determine his challenge course, but that might be something he's thinking about. But moving right along at the pace of these athletes, Logan Cummins, second place at Austin Ninjas, trains out of True Momentum and Ninja Nation Murphy. He was the world champion in Ultimate Ninja Athlete in 2022, and third place in the Texas Ninja League in 2023. So no stranger to podiums here, and no stranger to moving quickly all the way up through those lache bars.
Yeah, he really is. He's flying. Lots of power, that's for sure. Just see what his approach is going to be here, and is he going to try to do some big laches here at the end or go to the side rails? I think he might go for the big one.
Yep, here it is. He's only got less than 10 seconds. Couple of linked moves. Should be able to get to the buzzer in time. Easy work for Mr. Logan. Nice job. All right. We're going to keep moving right along with these runners so we can call some of the action here. Lucas Savage is going to be our next athlete. And we're going to, just another look at Logan's phenomenal run here. That buzzer moment for him, awesome job. Funny that he's wearing a shirt that says Savage, since our next runner is in fact Lucas Savage. Now take a look at Logan's placement. Logan cleared the course, but right now our top 7 athletes are full clears. And that, we just haven't seen that happen today. That just speaks to the level of ability that comes with this mature kids male division. They're just so good. And again, many of them, as I mentioned, have aged up into the preteen division. They've been competing with the preteens this whole season, or first half of the WNL season. So they're used to pushing the pace at this point.
Yeah, well, you really called it before the competition started, Mary, that this was going to be a really stacked, intense competition, and I mean, it's already coming true because that's a lot of clears right there, and we still have a lot of great ninjas left.
Yeah, and speaking of great ninjas, we've got Lucas Savage. So Lucas Savage, he got 4th place here at Ferox, qualified here. His home gym is Center Court Lawrence. Trains out over there, Center Court, where we hosted the World Championships in 2020 and or 2021, excuse me. And Lucas he loves being a ninja. He likes to train at Grit. He also likes to train here. Moving quickly through. Really hitting each of those moves. He's over to the pillow pit, quickly through, run but carefully. Those domino blocks look pretty nice and stable. Those look like nice domino blocks.
Yeah, he's still...
I believe...
Oh!
Oh, that is a tough hit. Did not have time to use his slap chalks. That's slap chalk sighting number 2 for the weekend. One of our sponsors for the Premier Series. Lucas was moving. He was really pushing the pace there. And you can see he would have cleared pretty well. He had about 30 seconds left on the clock to execute the rest of that obstacle when he got started. So great movement. It's tough to see such a great run set up. But those things happen. It is ninja. All right. Harry Jeffrey. Harry Jeffrey took second place at True Function. And as we know, True Function, one of those, their challenge course, you just had to do move after move after move after move. And so that is great to hear that Harry was able to take second place at that competition.
I think Harry is having a little bit more of a conservative approach here. I'm not sure if that's going to bode well for him if he's wanting to finish this course, because he has only about 20 seconds left. So he's really going to have to push it here.
Yeah, definitely. And a reach up to that bar. 10 seconds left on the clock. Man. I think he just let that time maybe get in his head a little bit. Just missed a grab on that ring. Not something that we typically see ninjas at this stage of the competition do, but it happens, you know. If you're really trying to push the pace, that is sometimes how the cookie crumbles. All right, coming up next is going to be Gavin Shields. Now, I talked a lot about Gavin during our hype. Gavin is just an athlete that absolutely commits and executes. If I could just think of one word to describe Gavin, it would be execution, right? He's just a monster out there on the course. Just, he knows how to crush everything. I was watching his Life Force run the other day, and the people commentating at that point, I think it was maybe actually, I think that might have been the one that you commentated, Travis, but Gavin just had a killer run.
Yeah, he really did. Very impressive. It's like so many of these kids, just so strong, so quick. You see that they are putting in the effort and the time to train well. It's not like they just show up and compete. I mean, they're really working hard, and he's got a great pace already right now. Gavin's tearing it up.
Yeah, fun fact about him and Simon. So Simon is currently in first place, and those two often try to compete against each other. We'll see what approach Gavin takes here. Going for that huge lache to the trapeze bar. And I think that was a great move. We'll see where the time comes in. Did he beat Simon? Oh, that's going to be close. I know Simon had a 43. How did this rivalry shake out today? As we were saying here, just great execution. There was no hesitation on his part whatsoever. He went with the big laches. Simon went with the smaller laches through the center.
Yeah, I really think if you can do those big laches and stay in the center, that's going to definitely cut down on your time the most, because the moment you go to the sides, you have momentum changes directionally, and so if you can do the big laches, you're definitely going to get faster times.
And less than a tenth of a second between Gavin and Simon. Simon's still in first place. That's nuts. That is nuts. Okay, before I freak out about that rivalry, we're going to move on to Will Vaz. Will Vaz is another athlete that trains at the Grit Ninja. And Will has been on my radar for probably a season or two now. Just such a fast athlete. He took World's Strongest Ninja third place in the World Championship. And just so good at what he does. Quickly through the footwork here. Has 33 seconds on the clock to finish this obstacle. 33 seconds.
Yeah, he really is crushing it so far. And I love just his attention to detail, even on various aspects of his technique. When he was trying to get the big swing on the lache bar, it was textbook, just picture perfect.
Yeah, and he barely had that dismount, but that just shows you how fast he's pushing for it. Now, a time of 45.83, that's nothing to be upset about, but you know that he was going for that top time. So these kids are just pushing themselves so hard to get those top spots. That's why this division is just so stacked. Every single one of them able to execute. So Will's going to snag 4th place. And like I said, those times are just getting faster and faster. I can't take notes quick enough. Our first page of results is almost all finishers. I think it'll probably be our first page completely, and the next page, oh man, they're executing today.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is just a precursor of what's going to come on the challenge course, Mary. I think we've got some top-notch ninjas here right now, and they are not holding anything back. It's going to be an exciting competition to the end.
Absolutely. And Easton Kolek is going to continue that on. Easton took 1st place here at the first ever Premier Series qualifier. And so he had great speed and great execution. Had to get through the difficult sky hooks that they had here. So no stranger to some of the trickier technical moves. Okay, it looks like he just got it.
I think he fell.
Oh, no. He did not. Oh, that is a bummer.
Yeah, unfortunately, when I was watching his swing and his pullback before he came down on that trapeze, it didn't look very big, didn't look very aggressive, and I was like, oh no, I don't think he's going to have enough swing, and unfortunately he did not go far enough to land on that platform.
Oh, that is tough. All right, well, we're going to move on to our next runner. We'll still get to see Easton tackle the challenge course, which is, you know, all the courses matter. Your placement definitely matters in this competition, but as far as overall placement for the competition, that is going to be the challenge course. So Alex Schaefer, Alex took 2nd place here, just behind Easton, and he comes out of Steel City. So we have already had a Steel City Ninja take one of these top spots. That was our I keep saying mature kids. That was our kids division, kids male division, and that was his teammate Kalen. So let's see if Alex Schaefer can make it a 2-for-2 on Steel City Champions. His efforts start right here, bouncing off the trampoline up to that slider. Nice work.
Yeah, he really did a good job there. You know, whenever you're running a course and you see all these ninjas before you fall on an obstacle, as we've seen today, a lot of people falling short on that landing platform, you know, you really want to pay attention and know that you have a solid, oh, that's a new technique we have not seen right there from Alex. But you want to make sure that everything is prepared for, so you do it exactly how you want to do it.
And these athletes are looking at their time. I love the looks on their faces when they see what their time is. They're competitors, man. They want to take those top spots, and they know they have to be quick to do it. So there is our 10th finisher of the day. Our entire placement board here is now filled with finishers. I'm trying to find Alex. All right, coming in 5th place with that time. We've got just a couple runners left. I do see a runner that I think may be able to challenge the fastest time. I'll let you guess who that is. But up next, we've got Logan Stacy. Now, Logan Stacy qualified at Life Force Premier Series, and he took 2nd at that competition. So we will get to see his performance here shortly.
Logan's doing a really good job so far. Sometimes on that very first obstacle, it really just helps build your confidence just to get through it in a relatively quick manner, because, you know, these guys, these kids have a lot of nerves going on right now, but they're all handling it super well, and he's just doing really good so far. And he made that dismount. That's great.
Yeah, Logan's quickly moving through these steps here, and he's got about 20 seconds left to get through the last of this course on the Lachey lane. Now, you mentioned earlier the athletes using that side. Different technique here too from Logan. He's opting to use that front bar to kind of build his backswing. If we can link, he knew he needed to link in order to get the clear there in the amount of time he had left. So, you know, we said this about a couple other athletes in the kids division. I like to see that they're throwing it, you know, because that just shows you, you know, what they're willing to commit to.
Yeah, that was a great run by Logan. And, you know, he didn't have a crash or anything like that, but he did fall on that Lachey. And I just want to highlight all the mats that you see. Ferox is doing a great job. Lots of mats, a lot of safety, because, you know, falls happen. And so they've got these kids and all the ninjas covered really well.
All right, Alexander Craik is here, and he is here to show us what is up. He is somebody that trains out of Kid Wonder. So let's see if we can get the Kid Wonder through this course here. He has done multiple World Championship events across multiple leagues. Most notably finished 19th in the world at the Ultimate Ninja Athlete Championship. Oh no! And just didn't have quite enough of a backswing to get to that mat. All right, well, our next athlete, I mentioned the friendly rivalry between Simon Gelman and Gavin Shields. And here's a third member of that rivalry. This is Grayson Rukus. And Grayson is another one of those athletes. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it here today, but these three are always cheering each other on. They're always pushing each other to, compete at their best. And so you know that Simon and Gavin are watching to see what type of time Grayson puts up. Grayson trains at TA Fitness Plymouth. He qualified at Motive, getting third place there. And our first finisher, John, was the one who ended up taking that competition. So you're going to see some quick work out of Grayson here. Oh, a little hesitation. You might not think that that's much, but that is enough. You saw how close the margin is between Gavin and Simon. They're separated by less than 1/10 of a second. And so that little hesitation from Grayson could be the difference between him catching the two of them. But let's see what he's got for us on these Lachays. Okay, big swings here. Getting the links. Oh, man. And it's a fast clear. But coming in at 44.59. That's still only just a little bit over a second. Right behind his rivals, Simon and Gavin. So it's going to be great to see the competition between the three of them. As well as all of our other finishers here. Aiden Collins also edging out Grayson for a 1-2-3 from the New England region. Wow, this is nuts. And we still have one more runner to go. We have Zachary Ramos coming to us from Motive. He competes at Steel City Ninja, qualified at Motive, another Steel City Ninja athlete. This kid has lots of points on his resume. He came in the top 4% at Worlds this past season. Oh, missed that hand placement right there. Needs to do a quick pull back. He's got it. Oh, and unfortunately, I think like his teammate, he just didn't quite make that move right there. Just went a little bit released, maybe a little bit too soon before getting to the end there. And that is a quick end to a very quick qualification placement round. So, wow. I mentioned this earlier. Of the runs that I could talk about, there are just so many. You have first, second, and third place separated by less than a second. First and second place separated by less than 1/10 of a second. This is just so incredibly impressive. Now, in our past age divisions, we mentioned that the speed didn't necessarily make as much of a difference this time around, according to placement, just because you need to have that technical execution. I can tell you by looking at all of these names right here, these are going to be your top spots as well in the challenge course, because all of these athletes do have the ability to execute to that technical level. So before I start with our top three here, let's take a look at Yuri Shemtov's run. Yuri is probably, he's our athlete from Israel, and I want to say has had the strongest performance for the Israel contingent here today. He was one of the first few. He edged out John for that top spot. John, our first runner to go and the first clear, but Yuri was able to have, just edge him out by a little bit of time, a couple of seconds there. So really phenomenal performance from Yuri. I definitely want to talk about Simon Gelman, right? First place athlete right here. And I think what you saw in Simon's run is that Simon was able to execute. We talked about how Gavin Shields, the adjective to describe him would just be execution. Simon's right up there with him, I think, with that execution. And right here, when he's locked in, you saw that how fast he was able to complete the course. So here's Simon rushing through the course, tiny little hop up there, just one move right after the other. Simon was the first athlete to use the side. You see him confused looking at his time just to see how fast he had moved. Another athlete that I think we ought to talk about, I do want to talk about Grayson Rukus. So Grayson, I know he's not in the top three, but he is so dang close to being in the top three. And similarly to some of the other previous TA Fitness Plymouth athletes that we saw today, Grayson is just able to move quickly and also able to execute technique-wise. His coach is Lucas Reale. Lucas had a phenomenal performance here when he competed in the elite division. We haven't even mentioned Lucas will be competing later this weekend. We probably should. Another I'm going to throw in there, I am going to throw in Will Voss, because Will was right behind Grayson. Will is one of the shorter athletes in this division, but he definitely did not, came in with a fast time. He's in your top 5 for time, really quick. Also a pretty technical athlete, so I don't think that we will see him struggle too much on those courses, but you never know what Ramses and Zach have cooked up for these mature males. So I will talk a little bit about Omer as well. So he was one of the other first people to clear. So we mentioned Yuri at kind of the start of our chat here, but let's talk about Omer as well, because I think what I saw amongst all of these athletes is that we have just really great execution, really great ability to just hit the moves, and I loved the fluidity that I saw here out of Omer, and I think that that's going to be just a benefit to him going into the next part of the competition. Travis, you and I have talked about how, having that flow, while it doesn't necessarily help with the technique, it gives you less time on your hands. And that's really what you're going to need going into this challenge course that is incredibly grip heavy.
Yeah, you really need to be so precise in all of your movements because, again, energy is the biggest commodity going into this challenge course. You want to conserve energy because it is a long, grueling, taxing course. And if you have extra movements and extra swings and some wasted moments, it is going to be felt later on in the course. So you have to be right on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have talked about all of these killer athletes. We could probably keep talking about them. You see all of the greens there, all of the course clears, but let's move into some of the organizations that make this Premier Series possible. Up first, cataloging and timing all of those super close moments is NinjaWorks, the ultimate in ninja timing systems. So I am sure that you have run a competition at your gym. It's enough to get a course put together, to make sure your start and finish platforms are in the right spot, to watch everybody's hands and feet. But what you don't have to worry about is your timing system. NinjaWorks makes it super easy to not only have some cool effects available for your gym to really amp up the level of your competitions, but also to have accurate timing systems and easily make corrections if you happen to have an off day, which we all know we have doing hundreds of runners through these courses, as we often do. So we're super grateful to NinjaWorks for what they offer to the community and the product, and also for being a sponsor for World Ninja League Premier Series. Thank you so much. So we've had 2 slap chalk sightings so far. Let me check in the YouTube chat here. I haven't seen any predictions, any slap chalk predictions here. So I'm calling you guys out on the live stream. I'm looking for you to tell me how many times you think we'll see slap chalks. Now, same athlete doesn't count. So far we've got 2. By the end of today, how many slap chalk athletes will we see? Once you've made that decision, why don't we take a minute and listen in to an ad about slap chalks.
Has this ever happened to you? Where's my chalk bag? Ooh, I have a solution for that. Slap chalks! You take the chalk ball, put it in the mesh pocket, zip it up, slap, and get your chalk. Slap chalks are made right here in Springdale, Arkansas at Interform, the small batch manufacturing company. We're helping our community and providing local jobs to minorities and women of diverse backgrounds. I'm Joseph Rao, Ninja Warrior, rock climber, and the CEO of Slap Chalks.
Alrighty, well, make sure you go and hit that subscribe button to Slap Chalks. And here we go. It is DGS Ninja, another one of our sponsors for the Premier Series. Right there you see our DGS sponsored athlete, Addie Herman. She is our current elite female world champion, showing us that having a sponsor is a pretty great thing. And Travis, you've had a lot of experience with DGS Ninja obstacles. Why don't you highlight some of the great points about their company?
Well, when you want to have ninja competitions or do obstacles, you have to have quality obstacle designer, and that's what DGS Ninja does. They have quality products because you're throwing your body around, you're doing a lot of pretty crazy movements, and you want to make sure that the hold or whatever the obstacle is going to be durable, it's going to stand the test of time, it's going to last. Again, ninjas are known for sometimes doing things that are above and beyond what an obstacle is created for, and so you just want something that's very sturdy, very solid, and just a really good quality product, and that's what you get from DGS.
Absolutely, and we are so grateful again to DGS for being one of our sponsors. Now we are seeing one athlete here. This is Addie Herman. She'll be competing tomorrow in the Elite Division. Another athlete we'll have competing is going to be Electric Enzo. And Electric Enzo happens to be the founder of Ocean Needs Everyone. That is another one of our sponsors. So let's take a look at what that organization is all about.
Ocean Needs Everyone is celebrating 5 years of saving the oceans. My name's Enzo, and through Ocean Needs Everyone, I help save the ocean by doing beach cleanups, seal and mangrove plantings, making art about recycled plastic, and making films regarding the ocean's health. How can you help save the oceans at home? Well, even if you don't live near an ocean, trash can end up in there eventually, so cut down on your use of single-use plastics. If you see trash on the roads or beaches, make sure to pick it up. Use less gas-powered vehicles, fish responsibly, and help support local organizations. I started my organization when I was 12 years old because I wanted to make a difference. So remember, you're never too young to follow your dreams and make a change. Let's all save our oceans together, one piece of trash at a time.
Alrighty, and we are back. And time for a discussion around our top three. Simon Gelman, Gavin Shields, Aiden Collins. All three of them qualified at different competitions, and all three of them are separated by less than a second, and Simon and Gavin separated by less than a tenth of a second. Now, we've talked about speed. We've talked about what that means going into the challenge course. Before, there really wasn't much correlation between how fast an athlete did the placement course and their ability to execute on the challenge course, just because there is such a ramped up level of technical execution that's required for the challenge course. However, I really think that this time around in this division, that's not the case. I think that we are going to see similar results from our placement to our challenge, based on the fact that a lot of these athletes, they are just that technically good. They're getting to the age where you have to not only be fast, but you have to be technically sound. So, you know, in Simon's highlight reel, you saw him throwing some moves that you might see in like a teen level course, right? And so, you know, he's putting in the work on that. I can speak similarly for Gavin, training at Vitality Obstacle Fitness. You know, he's one of the athletes that we'll ask to test for us for older age divisions, whether that's the preteen division or the teen division. I imagine in Aiden's case, it's something very similar. So speed aside, I think it's really going to come down to executing on all fronts. Simon has a bit of an advantage going last. He's going to know what he has to do, and he's, knowing him as an athlete, really good at executing that. But Travis, what are you thinking as far as how this is going to play out?
Well, like you said, Simon definitely will have an advantage going last because you get to see everybody go before you, and sometimes an obstacle plays out differently than you thought it would have. And maybe ninjas start having a lot of troubles on a particular obstacle. So by going later, you can watch what works, what doesn't work, and then you can change up your game plan accordingly. So Simon's definitely going to have an advantage there, although he is also last. So that can present a bit of a psychological challenge just from some pressure and whatnot. Everybody's watching you, but most of the times the ninjas who are last to go, they thrive in that environment. So he's gonna do very well, I think. But all three of these ninjas, but even several others who are just a few seconds behind, you know, they have so much skill, so much speed, but this is a long, taxing course. So we're gonna see who can keep the speed up, but have the muscular stamina to go the distance.
All right, and our first athlete who is going to tackle the challenge course is Almog Gross. So Almog is coming to us from Israel. Very, very strong showing from the Israeli athletes in this division. So Almog did not quite have the run that he was looking for in his first run in the placement course. Running first here in challenge, not exactly the position you want, but we have had across the day some athletes with some really strong performances, even going first. So here is Almog tackling the flying bar, and we have two different free bars for these athletes to go through. So we've amped up the difficulty quite a bit here for these mature male athletes, which I think is definitely appropriate. I mean, we've seen how quick they are getting through that placement course. It was no challenge for them. So we need to make sure that challenge course is truly a challenge. And Almog just showing us how good these mature kids athletes are. Getting that move first time, first athlete to go. Wow, great job.
Yeah, you really hit it on the head right there. I was so impressed with Almog right there because he really had no swing on that ring transfer. He just muscled the whole thing and did it perfectly. So I was expecting him to possibly miss it because he had not much swing, but he did it masterfully. So it shows that he knows more what he's doing than what I do.
Yeah, and one thing that's making me a little bit nervous is his hand placement on those cliffhangers. When he was reaching around the back, he was you saw the chalk hitting just above it. There is his coach, Gil Morantz, that we've been discussing, the last man standing on Israel Ninja Warrior, giving him lots of pointers. So hopefully he can dial in that hand placement. It didn't really look like the power was too much of an issue. We have seen on the female side struggle a little bit. Great power. Oh, and it was just the hand placement. Oh man, he had. It's so tough when you see it be the hand placement. He's had the energy to get there, and it wasn't that he didn't have the grip strength. It wasn't that he didn't have the power. It was literally just where he placed his hand, that precision.
Yeah, a lot of people don't quite understand just how precise you have to be to make some of these movements. You can have the swing, you can have the power, like you said, but if you happen to be just a couple centimeters off, you might be on the mat before you know it. So it's so tricky. You have to be so exact, and so that's why this is so hard.
Yes, well, we're very happy to see just the strong effort, though, coming out of these athletes. And even though our previous athlete didn't make it through, still showed that they're up to the challenge of some of those earlier tough obstacles. So next we have Yotam Porat. Now I misspoke during our first run with Yotam. I mentioned he was from the UK. He did qualify in the UK, qualified at the True Function comp, but he is originally from Israel, out here representing his country today. Parkour.
And what I love about this format too is, some of the kids on the placement course, they didn't do maybe as well as they would have liked, but they get another chance, and it just affected their run order. So this is their opportunity to get some redemption, to prove what they're made of, to prove their training. So it's really exciting to see how this unfolds.
Yeah, and I think what we've seen throughout most of today is that even if an athlete failed like the first obstacle on the placement course, I don't think we've maybe seen only one athlete not make it to at least the sky hooks. And so that the first obstacle is definitely not the limit for these athletes. It's just, maybe those competition nerves getting in the way, which is certainly not what we're seeing out of Yotam today. He's had some absolutely good moves. He's got 2:30 left on the clock to this point.
Yeah,
now,
and if I can just point out real quick, on that ring transfer, oh no, he slipped right there. But what he did was so impressive because his trajectory was basically going down, but he was able to get the ring up enough to make the transfer, which a lot of ninjas can't adjust in the middle of the air like that. And so that was a classic move by Yotam.
Yeah, great moves out of Yotam. Now his coach is a little bit of ninja royalty over in Israel. His coach, Sol, is, and that is a disappointment for Yotam. Being coached by the head of the Ninja League over in Israel, so he has some high expectations for himself. Really did his best to get through there, but that last transfer just wasn't quite in the wheelhouse for him.
Yeah, and what's tricky about that transfer is not only do you need to have enough height, but you need to be able to get your hands there as fast as possible, because basically the dynamics, your body weight is starting to come down as gravity pulls you down. You need to get those hands there early to be able to absorb your body weight so you can continue on. And if your hands aren't there quick enough, you're just going to peel off like we just saw. So that was just unfortunate. I know he's heartbroken, but he did a great job.
Yeah, good effort out of Yotam today. And moving on to our next runner, we now have Anthony DeSimone. Now, I talked a little bit about Anthony during his placement run. Anthony, unfortunately, had a bit of an early exit. Definitely was capable of getting further into the course than he did, but just missed that dismount off of the slider. Now, Anthony is one of the only athletes in this mature kids division who's actually still a mature kid. So he's still competing in this division. Many of the other athletes are now in the preteen level. We have had Anthony come and do a little training with us here and there, and he's definitely capable of some of these more technical moves. So even though he had an early exit, looking for a great run, you see him making that link onto the free bar. Hesitating a little bit on this transfer, but finally gets it. Great work so far.
Yeah, I do think that this is going to be a bit of a challenge for Anthony. Just to see if he's got the wingspan to really be as precise as he wants to be. And he's crushing it. He's making short work of this. So I mean, he's incredibly strong. You can definitely see that. Very impressive. Great job by Anthony.
Yeah, Ant is. I had the opportunity to coach him at the Southeast Regionals a couple of years ago. That was kind of my first exposure to him, and really has just continued to impress me year after year. So, smaller athlete, smaller reach here. Let's see how he gets through this. Being pretty thoughtful with his hand placement here, going cliff to cliff. All right, now this is the moment. That hand placement has to be precise. Oh, man, and those hands were there, too. I think he just might have second-guessed himself on that grab because the hand placement looked really good.
Yeah, I really thought he had it there. Hopefully he gets another try at it and maybe just a little bit quicker, a little more confident, and I think he can still clear this obstacle.
Well, it is do or die time for Anthony here. We've definitely seen some runners have trouble on this obstacle and then clear it and then do pretty well the rest of the course. So I'm hoping that's what we can see for Anthony. We're going to need a nice big crank from the tank. Oh, and unfortunately that's going to do it for Anthony. You can see kind of the resigned expression. Anthony's a very mature kid. I got to give him that. You know, he kind of understands, you know, what the competition means and what he's up against when he goes to them. But just a great kid, and I know that he'll be very motivated by this experience to come back and do better next year. All right, one of our sponsored athletes. This is Ariel Efrat, sponsored by the Ninja Company, 2N. And he's coming to us from Israel. Now, him and his twin brother are competing here today. Ariel had a bit of an earlier exit than anticipated. So he is a little bit earlier on in the run order, but that's taking nothing from him. He's absolutely had some really great execution. I've honestly been so impressed by all of the athletes from Israel, especially in this age division, and just how much they attack the course.
Yeah, you really definitely said that accurately, Mary. They attack these obstacles. There's no fear. There's just this attitude of, I'm going to overcome this with authority. And I mean, even watching Ariel's swing right there, just total proof of what we're talking about. No hesitation, and it's just super impressive.
Wow, and I love how quick he threw off of that bar right there. I think as we get to some of the older, mature kids athletes, I think we'll see links throughout that whole thing. But even just after one swing, I mean, we saw Anthony DeSimone earlier really kind of hesitating, making sure his swing was there, but that's not the case for Ariel. And a little bit of a mishap here, getting that ring just slid off of that tough hook right there. All right, he's easily through sky hooks.
What's great to see is when there's a mishap or something unexpected, to see how a lot of these ninjas, they make the necessary changes on the fly. I mean, they can think so quickly and make the necessary adjustments, and it's so impressive.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions. Oh, all right. Well, before we talk about that, let's talk about the fact that Ariel's about to clear this right here. Reaching around to the cliffhanger side. Okay, very smart. He chose to go the static. Oh, and he got the clear. Now, what you guys, the viewers, just saw, you just saw him really executing that obstacle well, going from a cliffhanger and a sloper. So a sloper is kind of like holding a football. Imagine holding a football and trying to hold up your weight on that football. That's how difficult these slopers are. So you not only have to be very precise, those are tiny ledges, but you also have to have a lot of grip strength and a lot of power. So it's actually a really difficult part of the course for the viewers. We'll get another look at that with our next athlete. But before we get there, Ariel, in that time of that explanation, is all the way through the boards. Now, minute and 15 left on the clock. This is looking pretty good. He's having a really great run.
Yeah, he really is doing good. What's challenging right here for Ariel, oh, and he just missed that grab, is no one else has been this far yet. And so he's kind of having to blaze the trail for everybody else. And there really is, again, a psychological aspect when no one else has done it and you're going first. So it's makes it even more challenging. Definitely not impossible, but he is running out of time to be able to finish this course, but he might still be able to do it, but he has to be quick.
Yeah, he's really got to get this move up to the discus. Needs a lot of height. We talked about this before. It's a sloped UFO. So you heard us talking about slopers earlier. Your palm is essentially in the position of holding a ball or holding a football, and it can be very difficult to keep your weight on that. But that just shows you Ariel's strength, that he was able to get through that. All right, I don't know if Ariel knows that ring is available to him. I might have seen him use it and maybe skip to the other side.
Wow.
Oh, but he doesn't need it. Okay, let's just do a casual 180 transfer onto a blind grab. I see you. I see you, Ariel.
Honestly, I don't know if I've ever seen a move quite like that. That was so impressive.
I've seen moves like that, but in the elite division, man. This is mature kids. Oh, full layout. I think Ariel's only going to have like 2 seconds left, but you know, we mentioned this before. We've seen athletes fail the slogies their first try and then go all the way through the rest of the course and have great runs, and Ariel actually totally proved that again. You see a look at these slogies here. Very tough moves all throughout the course, and awesome job by Ariel. This move right here, what? Okay. All right, I see you, Israel. I see you. You guys got some great moves. I think that was a pretty electrifying run. We've got, you can kind of feel that everybody's like, they've seen somebody get past those slogies, so they're excited now. The further we get into this, they're definitely going to want to see more finishers. All right. Next up, we have Roy Oved. Using that height to his advantage, making some quick moves.
Yeah, Mary, I was talking about the psychological challenges of going first, or going further than other people who haven't gone that far yet, and it's such a tricky aspect. But the flip side is, once people start making that obstacle that everyone was falling on, it can just, again, open the floodgates, and everybody starts making it because they know, oh, this is doable.
Yeah.
We can do this.
Yeah, and I think Roy is really kind of showing us that confidence, right? And we didn't necessarily see this in Roy's placement run. It kind of ended a little bit early. But look at how quick Roy is already through this point. And you saw that Roy was the first one to link. Oh, man. So I do want to call the viewers' attention to that fail. So you saw how Roy's hand kind of flew past the cliffhanger. So not only is it a tough grab, requiring a lot of grip strength, but it's also very precise. Now Roy is using his reach to his advantage here. Hopefully he can spot this lâché. Okay, that's good. I wonder if he's going to go for a static this time around. Absolutely. Smart move. Now we are on to the back half of the course. 2 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, Roy is doing really good. And again, when you talked about him doing a static, just for those who don't know, basically that's just meaning that you're not flying through the air from one hold to another. When you're holding on to something with two hands, you go to the next grab with the first hand while you're still holding on to the original with the other hand. That's called staticking. Some people will jump instead, or even a little what's called a lâché. But Roy was able to static that last hold. It's just doing a tremendous job.
Yeah, and I gotta say, Roy's pace is still looking really solid right now. Oh god, whoa!
Wow, that was a great save by Roy. That right there is a prime example of how you can't get ahead of yourself. Because I think he was just like, all right, I got this, and potentially eased up just a little early and almost fell.
Yeah, so now Roy is having to go make that lâché to that smaller cliffhanger, but that was absolutely no problem. Wow, what a strong showing from Roy. This just goes to show you guys, the placement course, it can give you an advantage, but it doesn't, at this level of competition, really just doesn't speak to the skill of the athletes that we're watching here. Roy all the way to the last obstacle, a full minute on the clock. Now you've got to hit the inside of that special delivery. You've got 2 special delivery moves. And it looks like, I don't know if Roy is going to try to save it. Smart idea.
Yeah, we saw this earlier today, Mary, where that last grab is so quick and so technical. You just caught, and then you have to reach for that last ring. And if you don't go on that very first try, most likely going to be in dead man's lane. You're going to come back, swing, and you just don't have the momentum to get back. Yeah, you have to try the whole thing again.
Yeah, and I love the 1-2 approach going to that special. It really looks like Roy just has that skill on lock. Okay, he's got 3 seconds. And it's our first buzzer. 3 minutes and 27 seconds. Big hugs from Coach.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Wow.
Roy just lit up that course. And, it's just a great story because I know that he went out sooner than he wanted on the placement course, but he got full-on redemption, even with a almost backflip right there. Way to go.
Travis, I feel like we could give it to him. He just cleared the course. Hey, someone to be able to land on his feet. He might be tired, Oh gosh, wow. Great run out of Roy. Our first clear of the day. Check out this save right here. And here's the thing, a save like that zaps your energy. You might not think it, but that spikes your heart rate. That's a lot of gripping and a lot of pulling that you probably didn't have to do. So, you know what? I think we'll call this backflip a clear too. That's a clear.
Well, yeah, and, he had to take a second try on the slogies and saving himself on that near fall on that dismount. So he definitely had to put in some extra work, yet he still cleared the course. So Roy, he did awesome on that course.
Yeah. All right, well, our top 3 spots as of right now filled out by the Israeli contingent. What an amazing showing from our international teams. And up next, Alexander Craik expertly getting through parkour. Now, Alexander, similar size to Roy in height, and you see him using that height to his advantage here. Kind of just staticking these moves, not quite as quick through this as we've seen. Has to take a couple of extra swings to get to that dismount.
And one thing that I want to point out, as effortless as he's making it look, by doing a lot of those one-arm swings, the only potential side effect or unintended effect from that is taxing his grip. And later on, he might need that extra grip strength. So, even if you can do something like that one-handed, you might want to use two hands if it doesn't slow you down too much.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's just speaks to, the level of thought that has to go into a run, right? Like, I think that the mature kids athletes are, definitely a step above the rest of the field when it comes to course planning, but those kind of minute thoughts of, what saves the most energy. Okay, Alexander, I think going for a big skip here. And I don't know if he made it. All right. So Alexander looks like he's trying to skip those last two bogeys. And just to keep the viewers up to date, when you see an athlete going for a skip in the World Ninja League rules, you have your start platform and finish platform. And then it's dictated to you what you can use to get to the finish platform. But you don't have to use everything. You can use all of the elements, or you can use as few of the elements as possible. So this is really the first time that we've seen an athlete really go for a skip off of the bogeys themselves. I couldn't tell how close Alexander was, so we'll have to see if he goes for that move again. But, I would say if you have the power to go for the skip, you probably have the power to make that transition. Oh, man.
I'm sure Alexander's just heartbroken there. I don't know if getting the big swing, trying to go for that skip, just pumped him out, taxed him out a little too much to where he didn't have enough gas for the second try. But a lot of people are wondering why is that so hard? What's going on with the slogies? Obviously, we've seen some people get through it, but it really is just such a taxing finger and forearm strength obstacle. And when you make those leaps to the next hold, you really have to be so precise. And some of the fails we've seen, just the kids haven't gotten quite high enough and fast enough with their grab, because you really need that to be able to successfully make it. So it's a really challenging obstacle.
Yeah, and I'm sure that we'll see more and more athletes get through that easier as we continue on. So here is our first place athlete from the qualifier here at Ferox. Now, the reason I highlight that is just because the Ferox is always a technical course. There's always some new variation on a familiar obstacle that just makes you think just a little bit longer about how to do the obstacle than you might typically. So for Easton to have gotten first place here, that just shows you he's putting in that thought. He's putting in that time. Had a bit of an early exit on the, I think it was the lache to the mat. But we are now on to some more upper body focused obstacles here. We have not seen a single athlete miss that transition yet.
And I don't know if you noticed, Mary, but when Easton started that, he used his feet, kicked off the starting platform a little, give him a little extra speed, a little extra power, and that was a really smart move to do.
Yeah, and one thing I'm going to call out for the viewers here too is, in just learning more about this bogey obstacle and why it's difficult, the more times you see an athlete, oh man, Easton just missed that hand wrapping around onto the sloper. Still looking pretty strong. But
well, this is where with Easton's height, if he tries to static, it looked like he was trying to static reach that last hold. It is a little harder for him because his reach is just a little shorter than some of the other competitors. So he might have to, leap or lache for that instead of trying to static.
Yeah, and the more moves that you see an athlete taking, the more kind of backswings that typically indicates the hold is not as secure. And if a hold's not secure, it's taking more of your energy. So thankfully, Easton looked pretty strong there. He'd had like a quick one-handed transfer, so was still had enough in the tank to get through that. And we're still looking pretty strong here on the boards, easily able to pop up there.
Yeah, he's looking like he has a lot of strength left. He has a lot of endurance. He was wise. He's shaking out there a little bit, but he has a lot of time left. If he keeps moving, he could be our next course clear.
Yeah, and I love that little quick pop we saw out of him. Oh, and the discus takes out another.
Well, I know you talked about this earlier, Mary, but with that discus obstacle, it is so precise. It is such a technical obstacle. You have to be right on. Not only do you need a lot of height, but your hands really do need to be right in the right spot. And good. Easton got it there. He's going to keep it going.
Yeah, and it's not as easy as a typical UFO. A UFO just being a flat, round disc that is attached in the middle, because on a UFO you have your thumbs, right? You can use those to kind of help you out if you grab maybe a little bit off, but on that discus you only have the palm of your hand. Oh, and Easton went for that 180 move but wasn't quite able to execute it. Man, that's a tough break for Easton today. Still a very strong performance, getting over a couple of disappointments early on, but really easily to that point. Great technique.
Yeah, he really did a good job. And even falling that first time on the slogies, he was trying to static and realized that wasn't going to work, so he changed up his strategy and made it the next time through and kept going, wouldn't give up. That was a great job.
All right, we are getting into closer and closer to our athletes who cleared the course. Still a decent amount to get through before we get there. And remember, we had about 11 clears, so we have a lot of athletes to go, so anything can happen at this point as far as that top spot. So far, we have seen only Roy clear the course pretty early on. So let's see if Zachary Ramos can repeat that.
But again, I think Zachary's one of these athletes who, he just missed that grab. I was going to say, he didn't do as well as I think he would have liked to on a placement course, and so it's like, okay, here is his chance to get redemption, and he did have a little mishap there, but he's still going, and I think he's a fighter.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, all the kids coming out of Steel City, they just have grit for days. And another thing that is really awesome about the Steel City kids, you saw the reason he fell on that obstacle was because he was going for the more aggressive way to get through that obstacle. And even here, going into the slogies, just annihilating it. Didn't pause for chalk, didn't pause to breathe. Staticking over to that sloper. Easy pop up for him. Zachary's crushing it right now. We just have this one last move, and I like how he kept that energy in his shoulders going into it. Again, my guy is not stopping. He's got 2:15 left going into the last 4. That's more than 30 seconds per obstacle. You know he won't take that much time, but my guy's got time. He really crushed it, even with that early fail.
Yeah, he's really putting in a great run so far. He's got so much time left on the clock, and he looks like he still has a lot of gas left in the tank. So I'm excited to see just how far he can go.
Nice little belly flop landing right there. Now I do hope, now this is still not a simple move, but it is at least, less aggressive on your grip than the next one. I might hope that he takes a little bit of a pause before he starts the next obstacle. And he is through. And nope, he's just going. Look at this. Look at this. Oh man, and that's why I was hoping he would take a little bit of a breather. That grip is a little bit taxed. Wasn't quite ready.
I would think getting a little bit of chalk at this point probably would be advantageous as well, but you know, sometimes you're on the course, you just get so much in the zone, you kind of forget about some of that. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, and thankfully, Zachary is through that. He's going to have just about 50 seconds on the clock. And again, just going for it. You can see a whole bunch of athletes from Steel City cheering him on. There's a lot of yellow right there. Getting that first move. Second move. Oh, didn't have enough going into it. I wonder if he's going to drop down or try to save it. I would recommend he drops down. But trying to... he is in no man's land. I would have wished he dropped down a little before then. Oh, I see. He had already used up his retry, so he actually didn't have another retry at that point due to that early fail. A lesson to be learned here, I think. You know, Zachary took kind of the more aggressive route on that third obstacle, trying to save himself a bit of time, but that ended up using up one of his retries. I think, you know, if he had maybe taken that extra swing, he not only would have had time for a second attempt, but also would have had the retry so that he could take that last attempt on the last obstacle.
Yeah, but still, that was a great effort by Zachary. He looked strong even at the end of that course, so thought he was going to get that, but unfortunately just a little short. And again, that last part of that last obstacle, once you make that grab, you gotta reach for that ring first thing, and if you don't, it's going to be super hard.
All right, and now the second of our twins here, sponsored by 2N, which is the Ninja Company, or the Ninja Company 2N. Now, we saw Itamar's brother, Ariel, his twin brother, go earlier on, had a pretty great result here, so we're hoping we can see maybe a repeat and maybe, as they did in the placement, a slightly better result. Great work out of Itamar here. Itamar is easily getting through bogeys or the slogies so far, looking pretty confident here. Ooh, decided to go to static those slopers. That was maybe not the most likely to succeed method there. I'm not saying it's not doable, but I think that it's definitely the harder move of the two. I think I'd like to see him maybe use the cliffs to static. There we go. We'll see if he goes for another static here. Awesome. Great work out of Itamar. Just one more move here. Stay nice and engaged through those shoulders. Easy dismount.
One thing that's going for Itamar is, you know, his brother's already gone, so again, you talk about the psychological component. He's got that sibling connection thing going right now, and he knows his brother's gone, and he did really well, so just is that much more motivation for him to go just as far, if not farther, than his brother.
Yeah, and as we're getting further and further in the run order, we're just seeing more athletes struggle less and less with these obstacles. I do worry about some of our smaller athletes getting to that final obstacle, just because it is a pretty challenging reach, and a Lachey. You know, if they can pop off of it, much like Idemar just did off of that cliffhanger, if they can pop off of it right away, they'll probably be all right. But I don't think that the static is really within reach for a couple of them.
But Mary, did you see that? He finished that obstacle with almost 110 left on the clock.
That is true. 110, and he still has a retry left, so... Oh, and there it is.
Take a reset.
Yeah,
Just
that's
not
that's exactly what you were talking about, Mary, because he pretty much did what you need to do, but I don't know if the reach is quite there, and unfortunately, if he were to throw for that and kind of go for a little Lachey, there is a chance to be a little bit out of control because it's such a fast movement spinning around a corner that could lead to a bad crash. So, you know, hopefully he's going to get it here, but he's really going to have to stretch it out.
Here's the move. Oh, and he just didn't have enough momentum going into that last move. Oh, that's heartbreaking. You hate to see it. You really hate to see it affecting the athletes like that. Just the wingspan difference. But unfortunately, when you have, you know, a couple of years represented in this age division, it just happens. So. Yeah. Oh, but still, strong run from Idemar. I mean, just looked so calm throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, he really did. I was so impressed by that run, and I guess the only thing that I can think of that he could have done different is as he was reaching for that last reach, he could have potentially let go with the other hand and kind of launched through the air one-armed, but, you know, that would have been a bit crazy, but yeah, that was an incredible show.
Yeah, and it really unfortunately does kind of hurt Idemar being one of the first shorter athletes to get to that point. You know, because he just hasn't been able to see somebody with a similar wingspan to him, you know, tackling that obstacle. You might have seen him be a little more aggressive if he had understood, I'm not going to be able to static this. I'm going to have to go for it. But we have Mr. Harry Jeffrey on the course using his length to his advantage.
Yeah, so far Harry's putting together a really smart and solid run. I thought he was about to peel off there.
Oh, did he make it?
I don't think he quite made that.
Oh, no. Was pretty aggressive with it, but... Okay, started a little too soon. Whew. He had a lot of swing coming out of that second cradle, but thankfully was able to stabilize just enough to get to the next point here. Now, one thing that I'm not seeing from the male athletes as much as I saw it from the female athletes. Ooh, the start of this obstacle, using the first hook to get out to the second hook, but then taking that first hook off before you even leave the platform. I think it's really given a bit of an advantage to some of the female athletes today.
Well, and again,
I don't know if Harry...
that really speaks to, you know, what it is. Oh, nice try from Harry. Just fell a little short there. But what I was saying is that's where it really does come into a lot of importance, watching what the other ninjas ahead of you are doing, even in the different divisions, because there's some incredible technique that if you're not paying attention, you might miss something that's going to really help you save some energy, you know, do something maybe with more swing or whatever. So that's a huge ninja tip right there.
Yeah, and it might seem like it's super small, like, you know, how big of a difference is it really going to be if you take it off while you're standing there? If it only makes a difference of a half a second. Well, you've seen some of those results. The clears on the placement course were separated by less than a second. And so those tiny little things, as you continue to progress, they do make that much of a difference in your results. All right, Aiden Weidler. Woo! flowing through this course. Oh, and we are seeing more and more athletes stumble on the more aggressive approach through these bars here. I wonder if it's just an overestimation of how spinny it is. Aiden went full forward grip on that.
I thought the coaches were told to not go in the back.
He must
All right,
he must have been
get that
listening.
move.
He must have been listening to you right there, Mary.
You know, I always try to help out the athletes. I think that some of the biggest beta tips come from listening to the commentary, because we get to see it all. All right, Aiden is now moving on to the slogies. Ooh, and it did not quite have the pull power to get up to that first slogie.
Yeah, it does look like he is potentially getting a little fatigued, so this is where he really needs to focus and dig just as deep as he can if he wants to make it through this obstacle and further on, maybe even finish the course.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of pull power here for him to get there, and it looks like he's staying engaged, but as far as this next move, all right, we've got it. He's going to need a lot of swing. Okay, this is looking good. Oh, man. Let's go, Aiden.
Yeah, that was really impressive.
Wow. All right, I am happy to absolutely have had the wrong prediction about how that was going to go. Aiden was looking pretty gassed, honestly, but he just absolutely crushed it.
Yeah, I definitely agree, Mary. I thought even just watching him get swing before making some of those transfers, I didn't think he had enough left, but he totally proved me wrong. So good job, Aiden.
Yeah, and continuing to move here, he's got to make a big pull up to this board, and there it is. Just didn't have quite enough left in the tank for that big reach up. I was wondering if that might be where the impact of the time on the course would be. But just an amazing recovery here on the slogies. You know, when we see an athlete go out early on that and not look like they are going to make it, you know, it's pretty rare that we've seen anybody recover from that.
Yeah, that was a huge accomplishment from him right there. So again, I know he fell shorter than he would have liked, but that was pretty huge what he just did.
Yeah, and our two top spots still being maintained by the Israeli athletes. What a great showing once again from our international competitors today.
Yeah, they really are doing a great job setting the tone early on and putting maybe even a little bit of pressure on the rest of the field. We haven't seen anybody match them yet, so they're doing a really great job. It's a good clear from Logan. A lot of people might not understand with those flying bars, even though he's not transferring those to cradles as a traditional flying bar might be. They obviously fall off, and if you get a really big swing, they can come right off of that cradle. So it is tremendously tricky and very challenging to get that right. So if some people are watching this and thinking, well, why are they falling there? Why aren't they getting a bigger swing? That's why, because those bars can be pulled right off, and Logan's just making quick work of skyhook there, and he's looking good so far. I'm hoping that he is going to have the pace and stamina to get through the slogies on the first try. It's good. He's looking real methodical. So this is the big test right here. Oh, that actually looked so easy by Logan. Way to go. Making the slogies look like nothing.
Logan on the slogans. Yeah, that didn't work. That's definitely not my strong suit is the puns. But Logan definitely using his reach here to get through many of these obstacles, especially on the slogies back there.
Yeah, and right now his time is really good, but doesn't have a whole lot of time if he wants to actually finish this course. So that is smart right there, getting some chalk, but he's gotta get going if he wants to have a time or a chance to finish this.
Yeah, Logan, again, using his reach to his advantage, won't be able to do that here on the discus. Is going to have to lâcher to that. Ooh, and he was released a little bit late there. I was a little nervous his hands weren't going to make it, but again, just, close call after close call for Logan. He's really crushing it.
Yeah, he really is, and even just those dismounts, using his legs to pull him up. I've said in some of the other broadcasts, but that sometimes is even harder than you'd think. I pulled a hamstring once doing that very thing, so great job by Logan. He's flying.
Yeah, and I think what I'm seeing is just the movement of those cliffhangers. That was not easy to overcome and stay on, and he knows he's down on time, so he is moving. Now, despite no retries being used just yet, a little bit low on time. It's going to be the first retry. Logan only has 13 seconds, so he's going to want to go as soon as possible. I don't know if he threw early because he didn't have much power left or just because he knew that that's what he'd have to do to clear this obstacle. Oh, and just a miss on that special delivery grab. Oh, but he's looking happy. He's happy about that run. That's awesome.
Yeah, you really love to see that. Honestly, you know that he's got to be a little upset, but, he knows that this is a hard competition. This is a hard course. He made it almost to the very end, and he was celebrating the moment he landed there on the ground. So, way to go, Logan. Well, it's still pretty crazy. We only have one finisher at this point. Had a couple close ones, but still only one finisher, and that's Roy Obed. And so we still have several more competitors left, though. So we're going to see. We're going to see if some others can challenge Roy's course clear.
Yeah, and we are getting really close to our breaking into our finishers on the placement course. Hunter Chance Jibo and I think Lucas Savage being the only two that were, had enough time to finish and just didn't quite execute on those lâchers. Both of them actually just failing a little bit of a jump up. So here's Hunter, trains at Ultimate Obstacles. And when it comes to technique and execution, Hunter, sometimes he gets nervous about execution, but when he is locked in, he's locked in, and he's looking pretty locked in right now. But I guess the one obstacle that could potentially take that from you would be right here. Gotta get those moves first try. So far, so good.
Well, that's a great clear right there by Hunter. I would like to see him not take just those little extra swings here and there, because that does gas him out. Again, if it's one of those things that's going to keep you from falling, obviously you got to go for the extra swing, but I don't really think those were necessary, but we'll see if it affects him right here on the slogies.
Yeah, and I think, Hunter has great... Oh, gosh! All right, he had enough power to try to push himself to go for that bigger move. Now, I know Hunter, he's got grip for days. He was a competitive rock climber for the last couple of years here, so I think he should be fine to get through the rest of this, but like you mentioned, Travis, those extra swings, that extra time on the obstacle, an extra attempt through an obstacle, that all adds up.
Yeah, it really does. And that was an uber aggressive move from Hunter. I mean, that would have been incredible had he been able to do that. But unfortunately, he just there fell, second fall, and he is done.
Yeah, and I think what I saw from Hunter there that I didn't see, or I saw with some of the other athletes, is that when they went for the static, the arm that was engaged with the final hold was really locked off. And I unfortunately just didn't see that from Hunter, so I don't think he gave himself quite enough airtime to really get his hands in that location where they needed to be. So that's a bummer of an ending for Hunter's season in Premier Series, but still getting to this point, you're in the best of the best. So I hope for the athletes that don't necessarily have the runs they wanted or the outcomes they wanted, they do remember, it's an honor to be here. They earned their spot being here. All right, and Lucas Savage is starting up here. Quickly through. Now Lucas, another one of those athletes that probably could have cleared the course, but just had a couple of missed moves here. And he is moving on quickly to the Skyhook Chaos obstacle. And he is quickly through that. 2:45 left on the clock. Using those slap chalks. Now remember, that's 2 of 2. I still haven't seen too many predictions here in the chat about our slap chalk usage here.
But yeah, that's really that's a great example of how those slap chalks can be helpful, because he needed some chalk right there. It was going to help him. He didn't have to rely. He didn't have to rely on his coach running up. He could just, quickly slap his shorts there and definitely save himself some time.
And using those again, I think, he, similar to Hunter right before him, actually, went for a lache. He didn't go for the big skip, but that hand placement was just a little bit off. And he seems like he's a little bit nervous right now, so I hope he can calm those nerves and really just focus on executing the movements. And just not quite able to get where he needed to be on that course. That is a bummer of an ending for Lucas. He's definitely got more in the tank than that, but those slogies still proving to be a challenge.
Yeah, definitely, Mary. That's again just an example of, I think he needed a little bit more swing and a little bit more height, coupled with a little quicker grab, and then he might have been able to make that. I think he did have enough strength left, like you said, but some of the initial swing into that transfer is what needed to be a little bigger.
Yeah. Well, now we are moving into our top 11 athletes here. We've got 11 more athletes left to go out of the 20 or so that we're competing here today. And Sebastian had a buzzer beater of a run. He came in with just less than a half a second before his time ran out. So he can link those movements pretty quickly, and something happened. I'm not sure if maybe the course wasn't fully reset. Yeah, so I'm seeing the finished result from NinjaWorks, so I think that means we may have missed a reset somewhere. And so Sebastian should get a rerun.
Yeah, while we're waiting to hear what exactly happened, I will say a rerun scenario is definitely interesting from a competitor's standpoint. Um, you've got the focus, you started going, so it can potentially throw you off your game. But the flip side is that it's kind of like I just got a little bit of a free warm-up to get some of those nerves out. And he wasn't very far into the course, and actually I think we're hearing that somebody accidentally hit the buzzer. So that's why he wasn't our fastest finisher, because that would have been super fast, but he will get another try.
Oh man, whoever accidentally hit the buzzer, I do hope that they ran away quickly, because I've done it before during a practice time for a Nina competition, which is a local league. And we set a timer for the kids to practice, but I hit the buzzer, so I understand. All right, and our next athlete up here, this is not Sebastian. We are looking for a name to pop up on the screen.
Oh, it's an aggressive one-arm throw to that landing platform.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and this is Logan Cummins tearing up the course right now.
We've had 2 Logans hit the course here today. One Logan gave us a bit of a scare on the slogies, and Logan here quickly threw them. 2 minutes and 25 seconds left on the clock. And I really like what Logan did there, trying to give himself a little bit more backswing on that rope to get a little bit further up the board. That was some expert moves there. And doing the same thing here, because of where the ring is placed, you can't really have you don't have too much room to swing yourself forward, but Logan definitely made the most of it. Oh gosh. Okay. Those almost falls off of the platforms are definitely scary moments right there.
Yeah, well, right now Logan has a great pace going. And he masterfully completed that, and if he just keeps this pace up, he definitely could be our second finisher.
Yeah, absolutely. Going one-handed so he can make that reach around to the side, take some of the guesswork out of getting to those elements. These obstacles, these kids are making them look easy. They are making them look easy. And now on to our final obstacle called slots. Now, Logan's height is going to be a bit of an advantage for him here for sure. We mentioned earlier when Itamar was going that, having less of a wingspan can be a detriment on this obstacle just due to this last move right here. And yep, we see that advantage playing out. A dive for the buzzer. 241. Wow.
Yeah, Logan just demolished that course. That is such a fast run. That was incredibly sick. He's got to be so proud of that. That was a huge accomplishment right there. Pretty much a flawless run from the get-go.
Yeah, I really can't think of any points in the course where he could have really done anything differently. He just really executed so well. Maybe here, scaring us all, almost falling off on the dismount, but that was so well executed.
Yeah, it really was. And even like you said, him doing some of the little things, on the rope before the boards, getting a little bit of an extra swing just to help him all the more, getting a better placement on the boards. Little things like that help save that energy and help you go quicker. And he did an excellent job.
Yeah, and look at the difference between his time and Roy's time. Roy, again, our early clear with a couple of challenges throughout his run. But Logan, 241, almost a full minute faster. That's So impressive. All right, we talked about Omer coming to us from Israel. Another one of our, he was not the first. I think Uri might have been the first, but one of the first athletes to clear. I think it went John, Uri, and then Omer. Awesome performance. And these runs, again, if you have the speed to clear the placement course, you're going to start to see these runs get faster and faster. These moves get a little bit more aggressive.
Well, so, and again, Mary, that's an example right there. Some of the technique that you had been talking about, and it's the technique we've seen from the last several ninjas, Omer did not do right there. So that might have just not played up to his strengths, but it might have been also that he wasn't quite paying attention to what they were doing, because it does seem to work a lot more efficiently and more smoothly. So, but not sure if it really matters, because he's tearing this up right now.
Yeah, and I think that we're seeing, it's not quite as fast a run as Logan's. Logan was off this obstacle at this point. Oh, man. Okay, good idea. I think he needs to kind of rethink this approach. I like the huge pull he gave himself off that cliff. That definitely stabilized him to the point that he was able to get to that next one.
And I don't know if you saw his grip right there, holding on to that sloper while he was trying to figure out what he was really going to do. That is some out of this world grip strength right there on display by Omer.
Definitely. Still moving very casually. I think that's one of the markers of a well-rounded athlete, is that the further into the course they get, I'm not going to say the less tired they look, but you know, he's really still looking very calm. He's not worried. He knows he's going to clear. He knows he has enough time to clear. And I think that's what he's going for today, right? At this point, I don't think he can catch Logan's time, but he might be able to catch Roy's time. That is possible.
You're right. I think it is possible, Mary, but at the same time, you still want to make sure that your pace isn't too casual, because it is going to come down to potentially being a buzzer beater moment. But we'll see.
Yeah, and that was really smooth through those rings right there. He really just set his hips perfectly. Now he's got probably enough time for one good attempt here on the slots. Great catch there. I like that they're holding that trapeze bar out of the way. And we've got a reach. And we've got our third buzzer of the day with a time of 3:11. Omer has just moved himself into second place, edging out Roy by about 20 seconds or so. He is, oh man, he's tired, he's happy.
Yeah, Omer did great. I mean, he didn't waste a whole lot of time. I was a little concerned there for a moment on the slogies, but he had just tremendous grip strength, and I even loved his technique on the last obstacle, kind of doing that one arm swing on the trapeze bar to get to the second hold, and that was no problem for Omer.
Yeah, absolutely great performance out of Omer, and we'll see how that holds up. We do have a lot of other athletes that are capable of clearing the course coming up after him. So far, Logan has that top spot with a time of 2:41, but you know the other athletes coming after him are really gunning for that spot and are going to try to beat that time. And up next, it's going to be our first clear of the day, our first runner of the day, our first clear of the day on the placement course. This is John Bachmeyer, and you see that little 1 next to his name? John is ranked number 1 in the power rankings. And so for those of you that don't know what power rankings is, It's essentially a score that is calculated based off of your performances at your competitions over the season. And those power rankings are just based on your cumulative competitions, and it basically compares you to other athletes and how they've done, how you've done stacked up against them, how far in the course you're getting, how many competitors there are overall, and it calculates that score. And John is currently number 1. So, quite the pedigree coming in with this athlete, as well as the momentum of having the first clear of the day without having watched anyone. So now he's watched everyone, and you know that he's definitely going to be pushing himself to have some good execution here.
Well, and I have to say too, I'm still super impressed with how John did on the placement course, because again, running the course first, not seeing anybody, and completely beasting it. I mean, that's a really hard feat, and so huge appreciation for what he did and what he was able to do there. But what's interesting now, Mary, is as we're starting to see more clears, it's going to start putting some pressure on these last competitors, because they know that not only are they going to have to clear the entire course, but they're going to have to do it quickly if they want to potentially win or podium. So they're going to start feeling a little pressure, but I do think that they're up for the challenge. And right now, John is making quick work on these slogies.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking to that pressure, I mean, I think we saw that happen in the placement course, right? As the runners continue to go through your athletes that are really in strong contention for these top spots. Oh, and that was a beautiful reach on John's part. Look at this. 220 on the last 3. I think we were at 220 when Logan, who currently has the fastest time, started that previous obstacle. So John is flying, but speaking to that pressure, your athletes in strong contention, they started having faster times. And I think if John had gone later, he might have also been able to put up a bit of a quicker time as well. So this, for him, right now is a huge advantage. Minute 45 on the clock. And a little bit of a mishap there with the dismount, but he is crushing it.
Yeah, he really is. Did waste about 15 seconds there on the end of that last obstacle, but hopefully he's going to pull this together. I don't think he can get the top time, but...
Oh, and I like that. A very quick release when he didn't get that grab for the first time. He probably planned that out in his brain, honestly. Just knew, okay, if I don't get this first grab, my best bet is to just stop and restart. Hasn't used any retries except up until this point. So that's a really phenomenal execution score for him. Here's this move. Can we get the reach? We do.
Oh!
No!
So it looks like he kind of did what I talked about earlier, where he literally kind of threw himself on that last grab one-handed, and he just came up a little bit short. And that shows just how tricky that obstacle is, because John, he's got a pretty big wingspan. You can see that, but it's still a tough reach. But he was flying through that course, but just a little short. But, he came up. That was a great run though by him.
Yeah, and he is our fastest non-finisher so far. We have 8 runners left. We're going to get a look at Sebastian one more time. Hopefully we won't have anybody hit the finish buzzer this time before Sebastian has a chance to hit it himself. So that is coming up for our next run. Now, not too much of an advantage for Sebastian, getting to go a second time. Really only made it through the first 2 obstacles. A little bit of extra confidence getting through them, but not a huge advantage getting to run the course just a few runners later.
Yeah, really, it's just a bit of an advantage for his nerves, if anything. I doubt it really, is going to matter that much. So it's pretty much a non-issue.
And a little hesitant on this throw here, but he gets it. Through to that dismount, up to the rings. And I like what Sebastian's doing here. He's reaching all the way around to that ring right there, that move. We've seen a lot of the athletes do that to the point that we haven't really called it out, but it is more efficient that way to not spend the time going from one hook to the other if you can make that full reach around pretty confidently.
So whenever you're doing an obstacle that takes lots of finger strength like this, you want to try to go as quickly as you can. So in a moment like that, just a little bit ago, he kind of paused for 3 or 4 seconds. Those are precious seconds, but right now it doesn't look like it's really mattering. But yeah, Sebastian just made it. We have not seen that technique right there. He did not use the sloper on the other side. He had both hands on the cliffhanger ledge. That was pretty creative, very inventive.
Yeah, I think we saw some of our, hearkening back to some of the earlier divisions, in the female division, we did see Mila, when she got to the slow gaze, all the way back in the kids' female division. She did make a couple of moves on matching on the cliffhangers, but I didn't think we'd see that in the older divisions, just as, you know, they get a little older, their hands are a little bigger, there's not as much space for them there. But worked out in Sebastian's favor, that's for sure.
Yeah, it definitely did. Right now, he's got a good pace. Definitely not the fastest pace that we've seen, but still a clearable pace. But he really can't waste any time. He's got to keep moving efficiently and quickly, obviously with no falls, if he wants to clear the course.
Yeah, and I saw him take some extra swings there, beyond what maybe we would have liked to see, but I think it was a smart choice for him. He didn't really have the energy that he needed to complete that, but he gets it here. You see him pounding out those forearms. He's in rough shape. I think he's starting to feel the effects of this difficult course, and I think maybe we'll see him bump to that other side, or at least give it a try. I think that's a really smart move. Great call, I think, on Coach Ryan's part, giving him that advice. Oh, and you saw a little quick smile making that move. I don't know if he knew he was going to have it, but he has got to go. He has under 10 seconds. Special delivery move. He gets it. We only have 2 seconds left. Oh, man. And unfortunately for Sebi, a buzzer is not going to be hit before the end of the time this time around. But that was a really great performance for him.
Yeah, Sebastian really did a great job there. Unfortunately, just a little bit too casual of a pace came back to bite him there at the end. But, you know, he crushed almost every obstacle that this course had to offer. So he still did a great job and should be super proud of that effort.
Well, so far, Logan Cummins is holding on to that top spot. He's got a clear in 2:41, which is 30 seconds faster than our second fastest time. So a really big window there. Now we're getting down to the wire for some of our other athletes. You know, we're getting down to where there's just really a big crunch around a certain timestamp for how fast these athletes cleared their courses. We're going to have about, I think, 6 athletes left to go. And starting us off on that, in this kind of final quest here, this is Uri Shemtov, coming to us from Israel, had a really, really quick clear closer to the start of the competition. Really just impressed us with his attack on the course.
Yeah, he really did, Mary, and it looks like even right now he's kind of taking that same approach, just not wasting any time, going right into most every movement. It's a very quick pace so far from Yuri.
Yeah, getting to here with 3 minutes on the clock. Oh, don't die. Okay. So whenever you see those close calls, that's always my response as a coach. But looks like he made it okay and hopping easily through those sky hooks.
You know, I think the way he started that obstacle, though, it goes to remind everybody that mental lapses can happen so quickly to anybody in the middle of a competition. And sometimes when you see kind of silly things like that happen, it's because, you know, maybe you lost focus for a moment. Again, maybe you're thinking of the next movement or the next obstacle, and you know, I'm not sure if that's what he was doing, but you know, little things like that, especially if it almost causes a fall, it's like, whoa, I need to try to dial it in a little bit. But I mean, Yuri is just demolishing the slot. Oh, there goes that kind of thing.
Yep, and I think that mental lapse that you saw, I think it maybe was him thinking about this obstacle. You know, I think his movements were pretty confident up until that last one. His hands were looking really secure over those slopers, but just needed a little bit more energy in his absorption on that grab, on that final one. So I'm hoping we get to see this. You can see his coach, Gil Morantz, really just asking him to kind of pause and take a breather. I think that's really smart. You don't want to be gassed going into this. You really just want to have as much energy, even if it's going to take more time. If you don't get past it, it doesn't really matter how much time you have left on the clock. So here's this final move. Nice work. Oh man, almost missed those fingertips, but
yeah, that
was
a great save right there. His left hand, when it hit the cliffhanger ledge, almost slipped off to where he was actually holding on more with just the sloper hand, which again is so incredibly hard. It just shows how strong Uri is, and he's still alive and kicking in this course.
Yeah, and we're getting down on time for him. He's going to have less than a minute with about 3 obstacles to go. I don't know if that's going to be enough time to clear the course, but maybe we can get through the next 2 here. Up to that discus. Ooh!
Oh, come on.
Get out of there, my dude. Get out of there. His hands were so far back on that discus.
Yeah, that was an incredible save right there.
Yeah. Ooh, and really went for the throw there, but didn't quite have it. He still has 1 retry, only going to have 13 seconds. Now, as soon as that obstacle is reset, his time is going to start, whether he's up on that start platform or not. You can see the lights go, giving him the 3, 2, 1. And he is going to get moving right away. He's only got 10 seconds, and he knows it. He's going for that move again. He gets it. Can we get the clear of this obstacle? Not enough time. Great work out of Uri. I think that, you know, he came in with probably a lot of expectation, being the top placing Israeli athlete, but definitely represented his country well. Both him and Roy having some phenomenal results at today's competition.
Yeah, he definitely has nothing to be ashamed of with that. Again, I know the competitor in me knows what he's feeling. We were gunning for number 1, but that was still a great run by Uri. He should be really, really happy with that.
Yeah, and looking at the podium right now, you know, Omer is holding on to that second place as well. So we have 2 Israeli athletes currently in those top spots. So really a very phenomenal showing today from our Israeli athletes. Still got about 5 more athletes though coming up to challenge for this Premier Series championship.
And you know, so far, Mary, we've seen a lot of great performances, but this is where it gets really exciting because these are the fastest guys from first placement round, and you know that they are gunning for first place. So I think we're going to see not only some more clears, but some fast clears. So this is going to be an exciting way to wrap up this age group.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, our top 3 runners alone were all first place at their qualifier competitions, so we're definitely in for an exciting run today. Now, this is Alex Schaefer. It looks like there's some conversation happening in the background. Maybe some Ninja Works management we just got to get squared away there.
Well, I will say, as a competitor, I've had plenty of moments sitting on the starting platform, sometimes waiting for a long time. And that's tough because you've got the nerves going and you're ready to go, but you have to kind of wait for that go signal. So that's just another one of the obstacles we have to overcome, as ninjas. And it doesn't look like it really affected Alex at this point.
Yeah, I know Alex is really flying through here, easily getting through those bars. Making some quick work of these sky hooks. Not the most time we've seen when an athlete gets to this point, but a good chunk of time and looking very comfortable through the slogies. Gotta line it up for this last move, staying nice and locked off through to the dismount. Nice job.
Yeah, I mean, he really made that look so simple. I really like child's play. But that is a very, very technical, very grip, strength-intensive obstacle. So Alex is, like I said, he is bringing the heat right now. And I think he, along with the rest of these competitors, we're going to see some pretty remarkable runs.
Yeah, I think Logan Cummings, who's currently in the top spot, had about 2 minutes at this point. So Alex is showing some really great promise in his run here. He could edge out Logan for that top spot. Didn't take any chalk from his coach here. Wow, look at the amount of time that he has right now. 1:30 left on the clock. He'd have to go right now, I think, if he wants to edge out Logan. Now remember, Logan had a time of about 2:40. So he's going to need to clear this within, I think, the next 20-ish seconds to really get that. He might do it if he can get this first try, get that reach. Here it is. You saw him happy. He gets the buzzer. And what is our final time? 2:28.
Alex.
Man.
Yeah, Alex Schaefer, he just completely annihilated that course. That was super impressive. He even looked like he was celebrating a little bit before he even dismounted that last obstacle. Wow, that was a really great run.
Yeah, I think he knew once he got that grab that he was good on the time, and that's just the level of competitive that these athletes are, right? They have the knowledge of just knowing what the clock needs to say when they hit that buzzer. So I think that was the reason for that victory. I think he knew if he had to take a second attempt, that he wasn't going to get that top spot. But yet another Steel City Ninja athlete moving into first place. Now, I don't think Alex can get too comfy there. He's got Will Vaz, Grayson Rukus, Aiden Collins, Simon Gilman, and Gavin Shields. So, just 5 all-stars coming right after him. And 5 speedsters in their own right as well. So, I don't think Alex can be too comfortable in that spot, but good on him getting that clear and getting that clear by a decent margin as well, just a little bit over 10 seconds.
Yeah, definitely. Alex did a great job there. You're right. There might be some other athletes coming up pretty close. Maybe even Will Vaz right here, who's going to challenge his time. So we'll see.
So I think the marker of success is really going to be how much time you have left on the clock going into the final 3. Now, the last runner here just had 2 minutes, about 2 minutes left on the clock, starting that third to last obstacle. So if we can see Will get there and have just that amount of time left, I think that'll bode well as far as the rest of his completion of the course. He's moving super quick. His dad just has a chalk bag out for him to use, so he can go super quick. And Will, a little bit of a shorter athlete, kind of second guessing this transition, but no worries for him. He was easily able to figure out what he needed to do. I like that, even though he's a little bit on the shorter side, really using that reach to get as far into the board as possible.
Yeah, and it's really showing his level of conditioning. Like even on the slogies, he tried on that last grab, like, oh, that's not going to quite work. I'm going to do a different way. But had he not been so prepared from a conditioning standpoint, he might have gassed out right there. But he had all the strength necessary to make a quick adjustment on the fly and cleared it no problem.
Yeah, and he did take an extra swing getting up to the discus, but I think he knew that he needed to in order to make sure he got the move and executed it perfectly the first time, which I think is really what he's going for. Now, he did have 2 minutes, a little bit over 2 minutes when he got to that point, similar to what our Steel City Ninja athlete just had right before him. Gonna need a huge build here.
One extra attempt on the slogies. He did that so well. And for people at home, you might have missed it. He was so close to not getting that first hold on that last obstacle. His fingers almost didn't get in to the hold area, and he was so close to potentially falling right there, but he got everything locked in, and clearly he crushed that course. And speaking of that last obstacle, people at home might see under review next to John Bachmeyer's name there in 6th place, and that's because there is some questions of whether or not when he took the second attempt on that last obstacle, if that final ring had been replaced back to its starting spot, because if you remember, he missed that grab, so they are doing a video review of that to see, and if it was not set back where it was supposed to be, I believe he will get another attempt, but they are checking that out.
Yeah, we definitely want to make sure that everything is as fair as possible for these athletes. So if the ring not being reset was something that impacted John's ability to complete the final obstacle, that would definitely be something we would want to issue a rerun for. But that call is not up to us here. That call is up to the judges at Ferox. So they'll be able to kind of make that judgment call, and then we will let you guys know as we get down to the end of the competition. So speaking of that, we are getting down to the wire here. We've got 4 runners remaining. Now our next athlete is going to be the dark horse, one of my kind of wild cards here, Grayson Rukos. So finished outside of the podium, not really the podium, finished outside of the top 3 in the placement course, but not by much. And he's also an athlete that just has the ability to execute on that those technical moves and do it quickly. So I think that's going to bode really well for him. We're looking to beat a time of 2:26. I think if we're going to see that, we're going to need near perfection, pretty much. as well as getting to that third to last obstacle with probably about 2:15 on the clock is going to be your mark for success here.
Yeah, like I said earlier, the pressure is definitely getting turned up for these last competitors. But as we've seen already, they are responding to that. We've seen some course runs that are just on fire. I mean, they're going so fast and making it look so easy. So we're going to see these last four. They might just keep improving upon what we've just seen from the last several competitors.
Yeah, absolutely. Grayson already showing us exactly the type of challenge he is ready for. Linking through. Oh, you know he wanted that dismount. But he is moving as quickly as he can. Reaching all the way around. Big hops right here. And not taking that last move. That is not something that we have seen. And I'm excited we saw it because that's just another way that Grayson is going to reduce the amount of time he's here on these obstacles.
And he made it looking super easy.
Yeah, looking really comfy right now, not only on that extra dismount with a little bit more distance, but casually through the slogies. Now we mentioned 2:15 being kind of the marker here. I think that if Grayson keeps moving, he could definitely hit that.
I think a lot of it comes down to time between obstacles. You know, obviously we've talked a lot about extra swings and things like that on an obstacle, but the time between obstacles, that too adds up if you're gunning for that fastest time. So whoever's going to take home number one, they're going to have to be the one who stops the least, is the most efficient on their time between obstacles.
Absolutely. Now, I think that Grayson might have gained just a little bit of time on Will there. He only took 2 swings to get to the discus. Now, having a little bit more height, a little bit more power, that definitely worked in his advantage. But honestly, really similar time to where Will was at when he got to this point. He's really going to need to crank. He's going to have to complete this before we see that clock hit, I think, 1:04. So he doesn't have a ton of time left here to get that buzzer. We've got about 5 seconds. Oh, and I don't think that's gonna do it, but we've got another buzzer, another finisher. 2:28.3. A great clear for Grayson. Let's see what that means for him in terms of the leaderboard. I think he's either going to be in second or third place. And Will Vaz can not rest too easy, but start to rest a little bit easier with the time that he put up. Still got to get through 3 more runners. But Grayson, absolutely a really, really strong performance. I think he knows that he needed to be a little bit quicker in order to get that. Now, coming into third place, second and third separated by less than 0.2 of a second.
Yeah, it is really crazy. It's kind of like you said earlier, whoever's going to get number one really cannot have any wasted moments whatsoever. Because even that run from Grayson, there really were hardly any wasted moments from him, and yet third place. Just missing second place, but perfection is really kind of what these kids are going to have to come up with.
Yeah, well, let's see if Aiden Collins can have a perfect run. Definitely an athlete that I would say has the right pedigree for this. Very strong coaches that he works with. Really strong coaches all across the board for all of our athletes here today. You know, they didn't get to be the best of the best without something going for them. I think that's move right there is where the athletes can gain some time. If they can get through that flying bar confidently enough to link the dismount, that is going to be a mild advantage.
Well, and right now Aiden is just burning up this course. The way he went through the skyhooks too, I think by far the fewest moves, the most efficient out of anybody we've seen. And really, he doesn't even look like he's breaking a sweat yet. So he is, I think, right now way ahead of any time we've seen so far today. So this is going to be a really interesting finish right here.
Yeah, he's probably clocking about 10 seconds faster than most of the athletes to this point, and he's using his reach. We saw him do that in the speed course, in the placement course, just using his length to such an advantage. I think we'll see just one backswing here going all the way up. So explosive, and that's, wow, that's one whole obstacle further than Will was at this point.
Well, and I don't know,
And
kind of like I was saying on our last competitor, he is not wasting any time between these obstacles. He is just going. There's no catching his breath. There's no shaking out. Aiden is gunning for number one, and if he makes this, I mean, I think it is his for at least now.
yeah, I mean, definitely, I think he's, as long as he can get this reach right here, which he should,
Wow.
and the dismount, what an amazing run. 152, sub 2 minutes. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I don't think
Oh my.
at the beginning of this competition, if you would have told me somebody would go sub 2 minutes, I'd say, I don't think so, at least not at this age group. Maybe somebody older, but wow, I'm pretty floored right now.
Yeah, the mature kids, like I said at the start of this, they are always better than you think they are. Like, doesn't matter how hard you're planning to make your course, make it harder. There's already so many finishers, and he's really stoked. That's phenomenal. That's going to be a tough run to beat. But if there is anybody up for the challenge of going that much faster than that fast, it's going to be our next two athletes. So you'll see the under review has been removed from John's name. So his results will stand. He is going to stay in that placement. So that means that really we know that Aiden has at least secured third, if not first. But two more athletes with something to say about that. Gavin Shields is going to start us off.
Yeah, and what's so impressive with that last run, if you looked at the leaderboard, he was over 30 seconds faster than second place. So that is a big, giant step forward as far as time. So we'll see if Gavin can match that, but he definitely has his work cut out for him.
Yeah, and I really wish that I had seen Gavin kind of take the approach that Grayson had with that dismount. Now, you might be watching Grayson's or Gavin's run and kind of thinking, oh, he's moving super fast, hasn't wasted any time, but there's been those little mistakes. Oh my gosh. That was so unexpected for Gavin.
Well, and again, that's unfortunately what can happen when you get really focused on going super fast. You can, unfortunately, unintentionally rush, a movement or a swing or whatever it is, and just fall a little short. And I think that's what happened with Gavin. He was just trying to go a little too quick, and it did come back to bite him, unfortunately.
Yeah, and what I was mentioning before he fell, you saw some of those little mental errors in the beginning, just not linking a move, not, and even right here, just this dismount, normally not something he'd even struggle with, but, all right, 2 minutes to this point. I mean, this is not a time to sneer at, do not get us wrong. I don't think we're going to see sub 2, but I think you'll see pretty dang close here.
Yeah, and that's what I was even going to point out. This is still an excellent run so far that Gavin Shields is putting up. It's just everybody is so good, and first place time is so good that if you want first, you just really can't have any extra movement. So again, Gavin is crushing it, but as far as getting that first place time, that won't be possible. But let's go for a clear and see what his placement winds up being.
Yeah, and I think he's just getting a little bit ahead of himself. I think if he had executed that move, he might still have been able to get a top spot here, at least second. But I think he might be in his head just a bit. He makes the grab. I like it, being really aggressive. Now we just got to lock in this final move here. The reach to the ring. Oh gosh, and he's gonna have to save it. Here comes the ring. And that might have been his chance.
He might be able to get the timing he might get the timing just right one of these tries, but
there it is. Wow. What a recovery for Gavin. 249. Let's see where this puts him on the leaderboard. I think that's going to end up being probably not into the top 3, but just a really strong testament to Gavin's ability as an athlete to be able to hang out there in no man's land and still generate enough power to get that board to swing and be conscious enough to reach out for the ring at exactly the right time. What a great performance. Now we're going to see the leaderboard here, and Gavin is going to finish out the season in 6th place for now. Again, that is taking nothing away from him as an athlete. He had a couple of setbacks early on, but still 6th out of everybody in the world in your age group. I'd say that's a pretty solid performance.
Yeah, definitely. And I'd even say the silver lining on that last ring is, had he not touched it and kind of peeled off the way that he had, it would not have been swinging as much as it was. And if it wasn't, I don't know if he would have ever been able to reach out and grab it. So even though he missed it, I know that was heartbreaking for him. By doing it the way that he did, it was swinging, it gave him a chance to hang in there and still finish the course.
And our final contender for the top spot, he had your fastest run in the placement course. This is Simon Gelman, and now he is going for this top spot.
Yeah, this is always a crazy spot to be in as an athlete. You know the time you've got to beat. You know nobody else is after you. So there can be pressure, but also there can be quite a bit of freedom knowing, hey, this is all in my hands. I've got to, go quick and prove that I can do this. And so that's the challenge Simon's facing right now. And so far, he's doing really well.
Yeah, now Simon is a competitive rock climber, so these moves here, he is taking a little bit of a backswing, more than I might like to see. But I think he's just making sure that he gets through this obstacle. Wow, 240. Now this is rivaling the time that we saw put up by our current top spot, put up by Aiden. So if Simon keeps moving here, then I think we could see a little bit of a battle here.
And one thing that I've got to point out, just so everybody understands, we've been talking about how hard it is to do these obstacles, but especially to do it with no rest in between each obstacle. That is so hard, because to even mentally move on to the next obstacle from what you just did, even though you're gassed, your muscles are tired, it's so hard. But Simon is pushing it. We've got a battle right here.
Absolutely. We're pushing for that sub 2-minute time. Simon's not even close to that yet. Okay, he's got that first grab. I'm holding my breath right here. Oh no. Oh no. He just didn't have enough in that swing. I think it was that super fast pace getting to that point. I mean, he's only used up 2 minutes. He's still well within striking distance of second place right now. But he's going to have to be perfect on the execution here.
Yeah, again, that was a really well thought out strategy from he and his coach. If he doesn't make that drop off, Oh, shoot. We're going to have to see if he can do what Gavin did on this obstacle.
Yep, and he's swinging around to it. Knows he needs to make the pull up here. And exactly, he's not moving quite as much as Gavin did, and I think he just didn't quite have it in him. That is a disappointing finish for Simon, but again, it's tough to see these results from your highest ranked athletes, especially knowing that he had it in him to potentially beat Aiden Collins' times. But it really just does come down to being able to execute throughout the entirety of the course. I think he got a little bit tired, and so that extra little bit of endurance on Aiden's part really just edged him out. So Simon is going to finish in 9th. Your podium spots, it's going to be Aiden, Will, and Alex. And wow, what a phenomenal competition we've had out of our mature kids today.
Yeah, we definitely did. I mean, it really lived up to the hype. I know before the broadcast started, Mary, you were really hyping up this age group to me, and they did not let me down. They really performed so excellently. Even the ones who didn't finish the course, they still did really, really well. But look at that, we've got 8 course clears, and obviously the top 3 times, top 4 times, actually a lot of those times are super fast. And Aiden, number 1, that was a crazy fast course, super efficient, like we've been talking all along. Really nothing wasted whatsoever. So great conditioning, great preparation on Aiden's part, and great execution on that course.
Yeah, and a lot of these athletes are definitely going to be coming back to the Premier Series next year with a little bit of fire, right? To be so close to those top spots there. Thinking particularly of Gavin, of Simon, Grayson here finishing just off the podium by, might I add, 0.2 of a second, less than 0.2 of a second. That's just, really going to put a fire in all of them to really keep pushing that training. So who knows what we're going to see next year for these athletes in the Premier Series.
Well, definitely. And, again, even just another round of applause, if you will, for Simon and John. They came up literally an inch short on that last ring, on the last obstacle, and they had really fast times. Maybe Simon would have been able to get that first place time, I'm not sure, but he and John both had super fast paces. But again, they came up just short, but tremendous performance overall.
Yeah, I really couldn't complain about any of these results. I think Alex Schaefer, Alex had one of the earlier clears, right? So coming in and taking that top spot, I think I remember saying he still had about 6 or 7 athletes to go after he took that top podium spot. But Alex was able to hold on, just having such a great result of 228.14. Now, Grayson definitely gave him a run for his money on that spot, having the separation between the two of them be less than 0.2 of a second. But Alex had a really great performance, was really calm and collected through everything. So definitely a great result. 3rd place, 3rd in the world at an international competition. Phenomenal work for Alex.
Yeah, and even somebody that I'd like to highlight. Oh, looks like we're watching some of Alex right here. Again, look at that, smooth, no problem, efficient. Yeah, he really showed some mastery on this course today. Did such a good job.
Yeah, and so Steel City coming out with a lot of great athletes on the podium. So let's talk about Will Voss. Now Will was kind of the underdog, and the reason I say he's the underdog is purely because of his height. We talked about earlier on today in the competition how that height is potentially going to make a difference for you when you have to go for that reach on the final obstacle. We saw Will, having to be really aggressive on a couple of the moves in the placement course just to make sure he got there. Now, he's definitely grown a bit since last season, so the height's not as much of a difference for him this time around, but that really could have potentially impacted his run as far as this move right here. But he really just knew exactly when to reach for it, and he got that clear. Casual shrug, just a second place Premier League or Premier Series finish.
Yeah, you're right, and he was just reaching out with perfection on that last ring because he didn't really have much arm length to spare, He had to do it just perfect, just right, and he did, and he wound up second place.
And got to talk about Aiden, obviously our first place male athlete in the mature kids division. The thing that I've recognized here is that Aiden is so good at using his height to his advantage. That was what gave him the super quick time. You see it again on display there. Just really excellent at knowing when to put that wingspan to use. And so that definitely played into his placement here today.
Yeah, and I even loved watching that reaction. He finished the course, standing there with his coach, and it took a second, I think, for him to realize that he just obliterated that course. And once he realized it, it was just a priceless reaction. So, Aiden, well-deserved victory.
Yeah, obliterated is a good word. Sub 2 minutes through that course, that's insane. We are taking a look at our podium here.
And some basketball
Gonna
players.
we got a lot of basketball players. It's funny how many ninjas play basketball, at least when they're at Fair Rocks. Oh, we got some athletes. All right, and there's Zach, I think, hyping up the crowd. Got to make sure those results are right. As someone who has called the wrong athlete up for third place, you got to make sure that's right. But there is Alex Schaefer. There's Will. Looks like Will was also playing some basketball. And last but not least, we have Aiden Collins. What an amazing run from all of our athletes here today. Fantastic performance. Great celebration.
Yeah.
Trying to catch the confetti.
Truly, 1, 2, 3, right there. Well deserved. Just everything that they did was so good, and there's even a chicken hat. So, this is great competition. These mature males really delivered.
Yeah, we are so happy that you guys joined us for the stream today. We're going to be getting into our preteen females as quickly as possible here. So definitely hop over to that live stream as soon as you possibly can. We're going to be getting going real quick. This has been a great experience. Hope you enjoyed all of the high-flying action. This is Mary Layton, the commentator ninja, along with Travis Rosen. Travis, thank you so much for joining us today. I know this was your last division, but it's been an absolute pleasure to commentate with you.
It was great. Thanks so much, Mary.
All right, everybody, we'll see you for preteen females in just a short bit.